Hello. Welcome to the shit show, everybody. Always have shit on our plate every Friday. I want to welcome Divisive Content. He's a friend of mine from X. Hello. Thank you for joining me tonight. And welcome to Ruben. Thank you for
Hello.
joining us again. Everybody knows you already because you've been on every episode, right? So we're doing really good. But Bruce said he will be joining us in a few. He's talking to some friends. Sorry, I got my turn this volume down on here. But let's see who's in the chat right now. Oh, okay. Hi, Jerry. Thank you for stopping in. Tree Rock Creations. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know YouTube is censoring me. X is censoring me too. I've had 3 or 4 friends that said they tried to find me and they couldn't find me at all. They had to type my name in, my @ sign, the only way they could find me. So sorry, people, I can't help it. I mean, they're shadow banning me. They don't like what I post, apparently. But hi, Kate. Thank you for joining me. Brandy won't be on the show tonight. She sent me a message and said she's too tired and she's worn out. So she won't be here, but thank you for stopping in. And thank you, Awesome One. It's nice to see you in the chat. But what I want to try to do first is I'm going to share a video about one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. So just give me a second. Oh, I got to remember how to do this. It's a click on that and then I push present, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. Says share screen. Yeah, here it is. I think. Oh, it's not very good at this stuff. But let me. Oh, it's this one. Okay.
Oh, never mind.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, looks great.
Yep.
Okay, is it very big?
Yeah, it's big.
I can't see the screen at all, so hopefully you guys can hear this.
That. He's one of the parents who spoke out to the school board to their faces. He's a busy man. He's the host of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. He's also the founder of Outkick.com, one of the only websites covering sports and politics that you would want to read. He joins us tonight. Clay, thanks so much for coming on. So I love the clip. I know it was a much longer speech that you gave, and God bless you for doing it. And it was entirely fact-based. The reaction from the other people in the room really struck me. What is your sense of where parents are right now with what's happening in schools?
First, Tucker, thanks for having me. Second, we're in the middle of what I think is a grassroots mobilizing parent movement to take back this country. I know that there are a lot of people out there frustrated because the reaction that I saw demonstrated that. And where we are in Williamson County, I think there are countless people all over the country who feel the same way that we do, that we have to go right to the root, right? Tucker, you've got a television show. I've got a radio show. We make good livings doing our jobs. But the most important job we have is being a parent, being a mom, being a dad. And I think what happened during COVID is many parents became aware of what their kids were being taught. Look, I'm a public school kid, Tucker. I went to Nashville State Public Schools, K through 12. My kids, 2 of them are in public schools right now. I want for them to fit in the society and make the world a better place. But It has to be a fact-based reality. And right now it isn't. And I'm excited about how many parents are now rising up. Over 1,000 people, Tucker, showed up at that school board meeting here just outside of Nashville to combat the decisions being made by the board.
I think that's the only way. I mean, you have been engaged in this, and other people have for the last year, trying to reason with the people in charge of the schools, from the Biden administration, the teachers' unions, to the school boards, the teachers, and say, look, this is poison. You can't create Tootsies and Hutus in America. Like, you'll wreck the country. And they just won't listen. I mean, I don't think there is another option other than for parents to say no more.
That is the option, Tucker. I'd encourage everybody out there. I'm saying this is a mom-led revolution because if you look at the crowd, moms have had a lot put up on them for the last 18 months. They had to bear the brunt of childcare when we had 15 days to stop the spread, Tucker. And they are just fed up with it. And they are leading this charge. And that's what I'd encourage everybody to do. Speak out, go to the grassroots, confront your school board members, demand that they use fact-based analysis, And we will win. I'm telling you, Tucker, we're going to win. I can see it. It's going to grow and spread and become even bigger than it already is. The anti-mask, the anti-CRT, it may well be the new Tea Party.
Boy, I hope you. That's the first hopeful thing I've heard in a while. Clay Travis, I sure appreciate your coming.
Okay, there we go. All right, that's one of the things, because now I'm in Arkansas now, and my governor already said no mask mandates in this state. So no child will be forced to go to school in the state of Arkansas unless they're going to a private school or some other school that isn't underneath something that the state can say no about. But he's right. It's us. It's all of us. The parents are the ones that have to take our schools back. I mean, I don't see any other way. What do you guys think? I can't hear you. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Go ahead, Ruben. I'll follow up after you.
Well, this is basically something that I've been trying to theorize on, the idea of institutionalization, the idea that in the turn of the century, of the 20th century, when things became institutionalized, everything that became institutionalized became, corporatized, became part of a control. And that's what we're dealing with right now. This is the antithesis of a 100-year plan they've been doing. And that's what it is. Everything falls into this line, and we're on a dangerous path. And we have to have people who I want to now stand up and have the courage to say, no, we're not doing this anymore. And it's not about revolution. It's about an evolution of thinking. We have to go back to the simple aspect of it. And we have Isaac Asimov talked about it. Frank Herbert talked about it. We had science fiction stories and the dystopian books that told us this is going to happen. Brave New World and as of such. We have to start now, because we're on the brink here of World War III. We are the shit show, and this is insane. And again, but that's why I turn myself off. And they want apathy, and I don't want to be any more apathetic, because that's what they want. They want apathy. They want bitterness. They want despair. They want you to be so desperate that you beg them to help you, and then you are willing to just give up your power, because the power is you and with me, and now I'm not taking it anymore. So that's my point.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really like that, Ruben. And, I'd throw Heinlein's name in there. He was really focused on the idea of, this education through citizenship, this idea that eventually they're going to create a population that is very susceptible to government propaganda. Propaganda was a huge theme. And, I was talking about this with Dr. Shackelford recently, and one of the ways that she put it is, whenever you're going to attack an enemy that's in a defensive position, you want to weaken them before you move in with your ground forces. So what we've experienced through public education, in my opinion, is an intellectual airstrike or an intellectual chemical weapon strike to create the kind of population that is very susceptible to government propaganda and emotional programming. And that's why we see these trends when you have the fear tactics on the news, where everyone falls in line. They put the same profile picture in their bio. It makes a susceptible population. And the only way to counteract this is a dramatic redesign of our entire education system. We need to make sure that parents aren't relying on the public education system only to be the only factor that educates their kids. And we have to look at other countries that do it well.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. I mean, and the thing is that that's why I asked you to join me on my show, was the fact that I was listening to some of your views on what you felt might be good ways for our children to start learning like we used to. You know what I mean? Years and years ago, we had more say in our schools. The teachers did what the parents wanted. If we didn't like something that we thought they were going to teach, like alternate parents or genders and different things or sex ed. That's another thing, showing different ways of fulfilling your needs, shouldn't be taught to a child by their teacher. That's something a parent should sit down and talk to their child about the birds and the bees, things like that. So we used to have that, I don't remember any of my teachers ever talking about sex at all until I joined home ec. And I was in high school, and we had, get ready. We had different things about preparing a meal and how to dress like a lady, and, different things. Because I was a tomboy, and my mom wanted me to take this class because she wanted me to be know how to set a table and, sit and cross my ankles, when I'm sitting in a chair. It's different things about being a girl. And, I'm glad she did, because, I enjoy being a girl a lot more than I thought I would. But, just because I was a tomboy didn't mean I didn't want to be a girl. So the way that they look at the children today, thinking that a counselor at school, which is not a psychiatrist, can tell a child that they can be another sex, things like that, to me is just not, it's way out of bounds for teachers at schools to be talking to children about. So I just wish that there was simple things that we might be able to start doing in our own hometowns to make changes for that. You know what I mean? To give it back to the parents. So what are you guys' suggestions on what you think might be a good way to save our schools?
Basically, so here's the bottom line. It's a ripping away from the corporate public-private partnership that they have over education, the unions and all that stuff. It's not about reading, writing, and arithmetic. Migrate that a little bit to comprehension instead of reading. Writing is about expressing yourself, how to express yourself, and you have debate. And then the last thing, it's not just mathematics; it's budgeting. That's we don't teach these core values. That's one aspect of it, and then the whole idea of master and apprentice, the all live in trade ships. Because again, what they're doing now, like when I had said it about 2 weeks ago, when they designed the car when it first came out, you had the guys were doing the car, and then you had like a shop that had to produce 100 cars. So they had 10 specialists that knew how to build the car, and they all built it. Then Ford and the assembly line, and as they had the same thing they did with meat processing, they did it with the how they process cars and how they process. We do it now. Probably processing food. I became the specialist for the light, specialist for this, specialist for that. And that was what you were doing. It was your life. You're institutionalized into this, and that you became that. And again, modern times, 1936, Charlie Chaplin talked about this. The whole idea that you're in the machine. We're in the machine. We're in the matrix. It is like that. That's why we have to go back and start at home. Start with your house. Get your shit together. Basically, your own personal shit. Like clear up your own shit. Clear up your shit in your house. Clear up your shit in your neighborhood, your city, your community, and then state, and then go out. It's bottom up, not top down. It's all inverted. Where these people are on the top, going down, and we have to stop that.
Yeah, I would say my suggestion is we really need to radically design the education system. Our technology has advanced dramatically since our education system was designed, and we have to look at the countries that do it well. I think Japan has this concept. It's called Osoji, and this is the idea that the older kids, they all clean their schools. And the reason this is important is because it teaches teamwork, it teaches character development, it teaches a value system of, hey, you have pride and ownership in this building because you're getting a value out of this building. This building is educating you and providing you with the skills you're going to need in life. So you need to understand the ownership of it. This would be so foreign to American schools because you're talking about the upperclassmen serving food. You don't have lunch ladies. You don't have groundskeepers or landscapers. The older kids are literally out there cutting the grass. They're planting all the plants that you see for the landscaping. And then based on on where you are at in your education level, they'll assign you a job. If you're a lower ranked classman, you'll be picking up trash in the hallways. But it's very character development based. And I personally believe we need to develop a skills, self-discipline and character development based education system with removing the political radicalization. I think if you look at again, we're talking about a very small percentage of people, but if you want to know how to do this well, look at the aristocratic class of the past, going back to the 1400s. All the sultans, all the kings, all the aristocracy, they had way less technology than we have today, but their kids by the age of 12 years old would speak the 3 most popular languages in the world. They would understand the basics of agriculture. They would be expected to go on military campaigns, know about the rise and fall of every empire that came before them. And there's no reason that in 2023 that your kids shouldn't be able to be graduated from a public school and have those same skills by the time they're 13 or 14 years old. They should speak the 3 most popular languages in the world. They should know how water gets in their house. They should have the skills that they're expected to have to be a productive human in society. And right now, what the public school is pumping out is political radicals that are vastly incompetent. So we really do need to look at what's worked in other countries. I think Japan's a good model. Estonia has a really great education system. It's a very small country, but their education system is very robust. They have very competent human beings. And I think that's where we need to lean into. I think things like uniforms would be important. I think, this idea where the kids would have more stake in the building and they'd be able to graduate and go into a vocational path or an academic path. This is another thing they do in Japan. About high school, you make that choice. Are you going to go down a vocational specialized route, which is going to get you right ready for the workforce as soon as you graduate, and not with one option? It's not like in the United States where you say, hey, I'm going to be HVAC. No, they'll teach you multiple things within the construction field. And that way you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. It's basically a diversification of your job risk when you graduate. So I think that's where we look.
I think that sounds like a great idea, especially in each city that there's a school. There's different companies that work there. You might have Firestone or Tyson or some Walmart, and they might have a Walmart super center with the warehouse. So you have to have employees that know how to do forklifts, drive semi trucks. There's tons of jobs that go with each of these different companies. And if you had the schools already preparing the kids to understand what goes on in them, like doing field trips to the businesses and showing them the different jobs that are available right there in their own towns. And then you could stretch out farther. Because I remember when I was little, the very first place I ever got to go see was a dairy. And I got to see how the cows were taken care of, where the calves were kept, how they got the milk and all that stuff. And then at the end, we got to have milk. So to me, that is what I think is wrong now, because you don't see that anymore. You don't see any kids going on field trips that actually mean anything. Besides, they go to the zoo, and that's important that kids understand the animals that used to be in the wild are now in a zoo. But actual ways for them to learn where people work and how they make money to pay their bills. We have kids graduating today that can't read or write. They can't balance a checkbook. They can't even tie their own shoes because everybody wears Velcro. They can't even tell time on a clock. Unless it's digital.
Cursive. So, don't know how to read cursive. Yeah.
Yeah, cursive. And they don't even want to teach cursive anymore because it's too hard to get the kids to understand. And that the fact to me that what I see as a mother is the fact that the teachers aren't able to do half the stuff. That's why they're not teaching the students. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, how you doing?
To have you join us. This is Divisive Content, the gentleman I was telling you about that I met on Twitter Spaces, and you already know Ruben. So,
hey, Ruben. Hey,
this is Bruce. We are talking about, fighting for our kids. And I showed a video earlier from Tucker's show about a gentleman that was fighting with the school board about the mask mandates and different things like that. So we're talking about different ways that we feel we as parents and people that work in the communities, how we can take our schools back from the government and from the, the overseers or whatever you want to call them, and give it back to the parents to where we can have a say over what happens to our children at school. So that we were just discussing that. So, but welcome. Do you have any input you'd like to offer before we go any farther? Bruce?
I'm looking through the private chat here.
Oh, I haven't put anything in there yet. But hold on, I'll put Tucker's thing in there for you. Just give me a second. I forgot about it because we were all talking and I just forgot about it. But yeah, I'm putting it in there. Tucker's thing is in there now. And then here's a couple other ones of different parents, different board meetings that for the schools. And it's just from different places. I'm putting them all in there so everybody can look at them. So just give me 1 second. Sorry, guys, but you guys can talk some more while I'm doing this if you'd like.
Welcome to the pregame show for World War III.
Oh, yeah, it's true. But I'm also going to share in the regular chat, if you don't mind, Divisive. I'm going to put your link to your Twitter.
Oh, appreciate you. Thank you.
In the chat where everybody in the chat can see it.
Yeah. And one more thing I'll say real quick about before we move on from this, I think there's something interesting to be learned from the traveler community. Most people will know them as gypsies, but one of the things that they do in their education system is they use the public school system up until age 12. And then after age 12, the women go with the women of the community. They learn how to be wives and mothers. And then the men at age 12, they'll spend time with different members of the community who own businesses. Most of the time, this is in the construction field. But I think there's really something to be said about that one-on-one apprenticeship, kind of model that Ruben was talking about. I don't know how you would actually implement that at a larger scale, like in a public education system in the scale of the United States. But I think, taking some of the parts of that model and some of the parts that work well in the Estonian model and Japanese model, it does require an entire redesign because the system we have now is too corrupted by politics. The teachers' unions have way too much power, and the quality of the education, as you just pointed out, has gotten so poor that we don't even have the teachers that are capable to teach these skills to anyone else anymore. And there's not a lot of people that want to go into that career field to begin with. So I do think there has to be an emphasis of at-home education and a complete redesign of our public education system as a whole.
And since we've had so many parents that are homeschooling now, due to all the problems, there's a lot more parents now that understand the different things that they have to have and what they need for the one-on-one with their kids. So that's a good thing because those parents can help the parents that haven't done anything like that. But see, I grew up on Air Force bases. So my schools were different. I had a totally different type of school. So when my dad retired from the military and I finally went to a regular public school, it was not what I was expecting. And it was really small. It was a very small school. So you basically had one grade per class because it was only like maybe 12 in that grade or 20. So there were, very small groups of people, which wasn't as bad as some of the other schools that had hundreds, of kids in one grade. So if you do have a lot of students and you do have to have more teachers, you have to have more resources. And I understand why so many people in their cities decided, we need the government to help us because we can't afford it. Which I mean, when I say government, I mean the state level. I'm not talking about federal. I don't really think the federal government should be involved in it at all. That's my point of view. But because whenever we hand anything from a state to the federal government, they put so many stipulations on it that you lose all the say when it comes to what you want in your school for each state. And the Amish do some things this way or that. And then you have private schools and they do their things differently depending on, what the parents usually that send their kids to the private school decide to have in their school. And that's why they're sending them. They're picking schools because they have a better curriculum. Like you said, they wear uniforms. So you don't have any kids getting picked on because they're not wearing the right pants or they're not wearing expensive shirts or whatever it is. And I think that's great. I think that their outfit should not be taking away from what they're learning each day in school. So Bruce, did you get a chance to look at any of that stuff?
I'm looking at it, and I've got a few questions here, but I have to ask. There was a caller on a local show over here in San Antonio earlier this week, and they 26th the conversation right away. The guy was asking questions about, hey, what's going on with all those kids down at the border? So there's still people out there that are pushing on this. I'd like to kind of ask about that, but I'm getting no response back on the internet as to where they went. All I'm thinking was they got put onto a bus and deported somewhere else, or displaced somewhere else. Not that here is a good place for them. I think here is a bad spot for them. This is not a friendly community. Look at the crime stats for San Antonio. We're getting almost as bad as Dallas or Houston. But, the Caldwell School District meeting looks like it worked out pretty well. I like to see the fact that the people are not allowing the teachers and the teachers' unions to ESG the kids. I don't know if you guys have talked about this.
No, we haven't gotten to the border yet.
I'll shut the hell up about it then. No,
that's okay. We're ready. We'll go on to that part of it now about what's going on. But what I'm afraid of is that it's gotten, how you pick up sand in your hands, and if you don't hold your hands just right, it starts to fall out.
Yeah.
And then you can't get it back because now it's all scattered in the wind, or who knows, it's all over the place. And that's what I'm afraid of. I really, really feel that so many kids have fell through the cracks that we're never going to find them, because if they've been picked up by cartels or just bad apples, they're not going to want them to be found. And it's going to be really hard to find those kids. But the ones we do find, what are we supposed to do with them? Okay. Our system is so messed up. We don't have enough places for these kids to go. And it's sad at the beginning anyways, that the parents felt such a need to send their only child to America and handed it over to somebody that they paid. It's really messed up, and it's really sad. And my heart breaks for these little kids, because even a 12-year-old kid, because they're probably in a sweatshop somewhere, or worse, making movies, things like that. It breaks my heart. I don't even want to think about it. I've talked about lots of terrible, horrible things about brothels with kids 10 and under, and that's their whole life, begging to die each day. They just want someone to kill them because they don't want to live that way. It's a horrible thing to talk about. And this is one reason why I know I'm being shadow banned on a lot of things, because they don't like me talking about it. The elites don't want me to talk about it. And it's sad. But
that's actually, it's frightening is what it is. It really is that they are doing this, and then that we all know it's happening. And that's why, again, I'm working as fast as I can to heal my body, and I want to know what to do next. That's what I really want to do. But again, from my perspective, the best thing to do, going back to the education thing as well, it's not about a top down, it's a bottom up solution. So the solution is for not take a Japanese model, take that model and use Estonia, then have a city do it. Here, this school district does it first, or this private institution does it, or this conglomeration. We can use
none of these kids have birth certificates. They don't have. There's nothing on them to tell us who they belong to. Okay. And we don't have parents sending pictures to the police department. I'm missing my kid. My kid's missing. This was the last thing they were wearing. We don't have any information from the other side to help reach out so we can place the kid back with their parents. You see, there's a void there. Here in America, when a children's missing, the parents are frantically trying to find it. They're calling their friends. People are looking all over, and they have a description of the kid. They have the age, the height, the hair color, you know, the clothes they were wearing, what backpack they might have had, their tennis shoes, all this stuff. We have nothing. We have nothing, not one thing. And if we saw the kid walking down the street, we wouldn't know that it was the kid that's missing. I mean, that's the sad fact about the whole thing, is these kids are invisible, you know, and that's exactly what they want. The cartels and all these people that are paying these, are getting the parents to pay them, saying, oh, we're going to put them in a school, we're going to do all these things. And all they're thinking is that their child's getting to get something. And when they get settled, we'll get to join them. You know, it's a horrible, it's just a horrible situation. And it just breaks my heart. But go ahead, Divisive. Do you have something you'd like to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, we started talking about how to reform the system, and Ruben brought up some really good points. I think you could do this at a charter school level or at a state level, maybe even probably at a county level. But the reason that's being prevented is because of the power of the teachers unions. And one of the things that we talk about too is that there is no completely privatized education in the United States. There's only public-private hybrids like charter schools, which still receive state funding. There is no 100% private option that's basically accredited. You can do homeschooling, and that's kind of like the only alternative that people would consider a truly private education. But I think we've reached the point, and, you know, Janet touched on this as well, is we can't even have this conversation about educating the kids until we talk about how to educate our adults in this country, because the education system has been so poor for so long, and it's pumped out so many people that don't meet a baseline education standard, that we're actually going to actively have to come up with an idea on how we can educate the parents, because when their kids get into this improved model, we're going to have them be at least at a baseline to understand what their kids are learning and why it's important. And I do think that's something that gets overlooked in this conversation, is what do we talk about? We talk about adult education, but only in the context of high school dropouts who need GEDs. What do we talk? Why don't we start having a conversation of a separate option to a university setting, but to continue your education as an adult, maybe a permanent learning center. It's not a college that you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to go to. It has more of a business model like a gym, but the whole purpose is, just because you graduate your public education doesn't mean you should stop your personal education. And there should be a private option out there for you as an adult to continue your education on a regular basis. So that's something that I would recommend as well.
Yeah, the idea of doing some type of service, you know, like if you want to do 2 years in the Navy, or 2 years in the Army, or 2 years as Peace Corps, 2 years of volunteering, or 2 years doing this, you give service like they do in Israel, and it's the idea that, you know, you're doing something for your community, or at least community service that helps out that way. Because again,
we have so many people that can do that. We have people that are retiring from so many different businesses. We have people retiring from the military. We have all these different options of people that are retired. I mean, lots of people that are retired are greeters at Walmart, or they become a cashier, or they teach how to play the piano. You know, they have lots of different things that people do. But what if we were to take these people that have already been successful in their lives and use them to help teach others what they did and how they got there, and be the teacher for the parents and the other people that are going to be stepping into these roles? You see what I mean? We've got the resources. We just have to set up the way to do it.
Here's the thing. It's just so wild. History is not being taught, or practical things are not being taught, but one other aspect, culture is not being taught. And I'll tell you, this is the example I see is people will see kids, not kids, you know, they're 20, like between 20, sorry, no, like 18 to like 30, right there. They're very, very, very young. I'm watching now reaction videos to news articles, Trump, movies, and seeing how they're reacting. There's a storm out there of people who react the same way we would react. So they react like, yeah, Trump's not that bad. What's coming out there? Or they're starting to like break out and get that white pill moment. You know, take the right to not being red pilled in a way. So there is hope out there. We have to keep fostering that. So yeah, we have to keep clamoring on X and be about get that on Spaces. You know, that it's the digital town hall. It's here now on YouTube. It's there on X. It's on your Instagram. It's on Rumble. It's Gab, wherever. Get it. Never give up on the idea of having an idea. Free speech is so critical. We have to keep it alive.
Yeah, and Ruben, you just touched on something really important when you said the cultural, right? And we have a culture that's developed in this country that when you're done your high school education, if you don't go to college, there's this mentality in our culture that that's it. That's all the school you'll ever need. And there was a stat out there. I don't remember the exact stat because I don't want to misquote it, but it basically was a mass survey over 100,000 participants. And they asked people, how many books have you read since you graduated college or you graduated high school? And the number was insanely low. I don't remember exactly what that number was, but that is a symptom of what I'm talking about. We have a culture where it's like, oh, I graduated high school, I'm done university, that's the end of my knowledge journey. And we have to create a brand new model, a cultural model that says, no, you should be learning well into your 50s, 60s. You're going to be learning your whole life. But how do we come up with an institution or a culture that makes that easy? That makes it, because people need easy. It's like the 24-hour gym, right? You want the key fob. No one has to be there. You don't have to talk to anyone. You can swipe yourself in, you can use the gym, and you can leave. We need a model like that for continuing adult education, not just for people who need GEDs, but for all of us in general. And we need to market it. I think a privatized model would be best for that, but I don't think you could do it because I think that the federal government, through the Department of Education, the teachers unions, would try to stop anything like that from happening. And I know that because if you look at the charter schools, the charter school in my state has 8,000 kids on a waiting list. You can only go to the charter school if you're drawn from a lottery. Why is that even a thing? If there's a demand in the market that there's 8,000 kids on a waiting list, you build another charter school. But the teachers unions in the state won't let that happen. So what we have is like I mentioned earlier, we're witnessing an intellectual airstrike against our civilization. They want to make cultural. Yeah, it's intellectual, it's cultural. And what it is meant to do is it's meant to weaken our intellect, to make us susceptible to propaganda, and to weaken our cultural values so we're dependent on government. So we need to come up with a counter strategy for that.
Here's this proves my point for one thing. Okay, we can, each of us close your eyes and imagine you're 10 years old. Who's your hero in your head? Boom. And then you think right away who it is, right? You know who it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, pretend that you're 10 years old today. Who would your hero be? So, it's harder to figure out who are my heroes now. Who's out there I can look up to, and it's very limited.
When we were 10, it was easy. It was Chuck Norris. You had manly men. You had manly fucking men.
Kevin Sorbo, Hercules.
I was going to say my daddy, and I still would say that today.
My dad's a hero.
My hero.
Captain Kirk,
I'm just we had Captain Kirk. Actually, Bones is a better, funner hero than Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk was too busy getting the skirts wrapped around his dick. You had Bones, who was like, he's dead, Jim, or he saves him. One of the two. You had fucking Spock, who was a brainiac. He was great. And, then we have our everyday heroes.
I remember kids talking about Spock a lot because he made everybody want to be smart.
Yes.
Because being smart was cool. Okay. Yes. And we've gone through that a few times where the nerds went up and became cool, and then they went back down again and they wanted to be a jock. Jocks were cool, So it's been in a progression of like a roller coaster anyways, just because of society, movies, TV shows, and things like that. But you're right. We have to get the parents to want to be smart. And it's so cute. So many spaces I've been in, and a few of the moms and the dads talking about how with Common Core and all the different stuff, depending on what school, that their kid was showing them how to do something, because the parents were going, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to do this shit. So it's just nuts. I mean, a parent, you give birth to your child and you have 5 years to coddle it, love it, try to teach as much as you can before it goes to school. Usually they can do a lot of things, right? But the thing is that once they go to school and they're gone, you're hoping and praying that when they come home, they have their little things that they've done. You hang it on the refrigerator and you try to praise them for it and try to help them as they get older with their schooling. But now it's like, I don't know. I just don't know what to tell the parents anymore, is that we're hopeless unless see, I was one of the parents that was hands-on. I volunteered at the school. I would, work at the recess, did all the things because I was able to stay home. I was a good stay-at-home mom, so I could do those things. But it's not like that now. Both parents are having to work because of our economy is so bad. So we're relying on someone else to do the same love and care when it comes to your child's, knowledge and nurturement, and it's sad and scary because just like you said, you got 8,000 kids. These are parents that love their children, trying to find a better avenue for them. So we have got to come up with some ways to where in your community, your neighbors and yourself can do something and say, hey, we got an old abandoned building that was a so-and-so factory. Let's clean this up as the parents and get it ready so we can bring kids in and start a whole new school on our own without anyone helping us. See,
abandoned malls.
We need to start trying to do stuff like, abandoned malls. I mean, there's so many empty buildings in so many towns. I've driven through back and forth from New Orleans back to where I'm at now, 12 hours, and go through lots of towns, and there's boarded up buildings in every single town I've driven through. So I know there's buildings available. We just have to get the parents in the cities in the towns to start saying we got to fight for our kids, and we can't rely on the government to do it.
Yeah. What would be interesting about like a privatized model is you as a parent could look at the curriculum in a privatized model. And as a privatized model, I could say, you know what, if your kid goes to my school, they're going to be able to speak 3 languages by the time they're 15 years old. They're going to know these vocational skills. They're going to know these world history events. And you would have a list of, all right, these are the skills your kids are going to know. These are the academic things your kids are going to know. And then you would actually have the results in front of you from the previous year where, okay, last year we had 500 students graduate. Out of those 500 students, 490 of them spoke 3 languages or whatever. And you would actually have that information, which is not even something that's possible in the public education system right now. And our public education system is completely overwhelmed with what are called IEPs right now, these individualized education plans. And it's creating a nightmare scenario just in general. We can't get people to teach them because these individual education plans are so prevalent, but they require so many more school resources. And that's why you see a lot of local municipalities raising property taxes, which in most states is the number one revenue that they raise for schools. So it's usually by raising property taxes, and it all has to do with the IEPs. But it is, again, and I'm going to say it again, it's crazy to me that, a sultan's son in 1498 spoke the 3 most prominent languages in the world, knew about trade routes, went on military battles with his father, knew everything about military strategy, but there was no iPhones. I mean, it was one-on-one education with tutors, and then it was a apprenticeship under their parent. And I think that there's something to be said for a model like that.
Did any of you guys go like on
that's Trump's model, isn't it?
Work day with your parent? Did any of you ever do that when you were in school?
I not only did that with my dad, who was a machinist, but I also kind of hung out with my mom at her job where she was a administrative assistant and just kind of sat in the corner and tried my best not to say anything or think that I had a funny quip for someone. That about killed me, by the way. Watching my mom work, answer phones, deal with people walking in and out of a building that we need to have it secured because you have retards that are in there and you can't let the retards wander all over town. They'll get hit by the truck traffic on the road. So I did that. And then I realized I don't like either of these jobs. Machining, I did get into a little bit, but I eventually was job shadowing a disc jockey out in Taylorville, which was about maybe 45 minutes from home. And that looked like a much better, cooler job, I might say, because you got like information from your news companies as to what you were supposed to say on the radio. The computer would spit out an algorithm of songs you're supposed to play according to the computer, and then as a DJ, you'd be like, nope, 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 no mic and mechanics, fuck you, and then like you rearrange and do your own thing. But that was what we were doing in 1992.
When I was in school, I had to go. We had career days, like a week where you could pick and choose. You go to your parents, you go with one of your parents to their job and learn about what they did, but you had to take notes and you had to write a report. Okay. You had to write something down and make something about what your experience was and what you learned about it. But I also had to pick another career outside, of my family and go there for a day. And I chose to go as a coroner. Because I was always interested. I loved all those mystery shows and things like that. And I went and I just thought it was freaking awesome. And I got an A on my test and everything, or my journal that I turned in. But the thing is that I just don't see them doing that today. Today, in the one school that I'm involved in right now, is that they have one day a week where they have phys ed. They don't do it every day anymore. It's like it's the under, it's 5th grade and under. But the thing is when did that happen? I haven't been that active in all of this stuff, but it's like, I thought phys ed was something the kid had to do every day, and things like that. It's not good. I just don't think it's good. I'm a huge health nut. I go to the gym every other day. I spend almost 2.5, 3 hours doing a routine. I try to eat right. I don't smoke. I hardly drink anything. I don't eat a lot of bread. I do all these things for myself because I want to be healthy. I want to be able to take care of myself as long as I can. Just like you teach them to brush your teeth, you teach them to comb their hair, to use soap, when they take a bath, to dry their body off with a towel before they put their clothes on. You do all these things to try to teach your child to be able to care for themselves, but then we hand them over to these people that aren't teaching them anything on how to survive after they leave our homes. And that's the thing. The whole thing boils down to that. They are us. They are our future of our world. And we're just not, I feel sorry for all these kids that are out there just floundering in life because they have no route. They have no road. They have no plan because they've been set free without any of the skills they need to be able to take care of themselves. And to me, that's heartbreaking. And I know I'm a woman and I get very emotional about all this stuff. But the thing is, that's why I like to talk about these type of things, is because I want other people to understand that they're not the only one thinking this way. That
I blame participation trophies
the same ways we do. So, and you guys are guys. So you guys are giving good input for guys to be, potential dads, one day be a grandpa. How can grandpa help?
I know that like X-Ray Gill and Tugs have this thing called the Dad Cast. They get Culture Casino. They had Chris Gore on, and that's a thing. And because you see it now, even CNN at one time reported on the idea in Atlantis cities. A lot of the fathers are now like standing outside the schools to make sure that their kids stay in school and they don't be messing around. So they stay on the campus and all that stuff. So there are places that are doing that, where parents are now starting to do that. And that's what I'm saying, to get more involved. That's why I would love, or I am like, I want to get married again. I want to find a wife, want to have kids. And that's what I'll do. I'll be the guy who's at the PT meetings in the church, in the school district, on the PTA board, in the city council, because again, I'm now ready to just start, live. I want to make America great again. And who's responsible for that? Me. And that's how you do it. That's what I want to do. So there you got to get it done.
Yeah, and no one's going to care about your kid's education more than you. When you outsource their education to someone else, that person, even if they are a great person who loves what they do, they're still not going to be invested in making your kid productive as you're going to be. And one of the things that I'd really like to see change, because you're asking for solutions, and I've designed my own education curriculum. I would love to see standardized testing replaced with what's called skills testing. I want to know when a kid graduates middle school, what are their competencies? How many push-ups can they do? Can they run? How far? How long does it take them to run a mile? Do they know how to change out a light switch? Do they know where their meat comes from? Do they know the basics about gardening and how the water gets from the well in their yard to their actual faucet? This is what I want to see. I want to see skills and character development based education that creates competent humans, because if we produce competent humans in mass, it'll only lead to success in our society. It'll solve a lot of our cultural problems. It'll make us competitive economically, and we'll become better families. We'll become better families because we'll be better people. And that's a really hard thing to come about.
Okay, I gotta
wait. Bruce wants to show us something.
Oh,
what is it,
sorry.
Bruce?
You ever use one of these, Janet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I've broke my face a couple times too when I was first learned how to do it.
It's one of my favorite tools for self-discipline.
Well, each of us have our own things. I like to wear weights on my wrists and on my ankles through my whole workout for every little machine that I work on and stuff. So, but remember, I hurt my knee when I was 16 on a motorcycle accident. Yeah. I broke the clutch off on my knee. So I have to do low impact stuff with my knee, or it just gets as big as a football. So, we each know our limits, but we're grown-ups. See, children will never find their limit if they're never taught anything.
If they're never taught to find them, there was we had a challenge in high school, and there was a leaderboard of how many push-ups can you do. I topped out at the time at the age of 18 at like 37, and after that I just broke form. I couldn't do push-ups anymore. I was doing push-ups, but I looked like I was having a spasm. So I think that was like, there were other kids that were more fit than me. They were not in better shape, quote unquote, but they could do like 48, 49. I think the top kid did like 71 push-ups.
Wow.
But he was like literally a skeleton, and that was it. He was just like one of these wiry guys that he didn't really have muscle mass. He was just like the skeleton and had the tendons showing. It was he was unsettling to look at.
Yeah, so he was like a runner. Because a lot of the cross country runners and stuff in the Olympics look very skinny, but their bodies are built for running. So it just depends on what you were going to do, what type of exercise. You see, that's another thing. So many people that work at a computer, which I do a lot of art. I do a lot of stuff where I sit for long periods of time, and I set my little arms and stuff, and I have a thing that holds my shoulders back. So when I'm benched over a desk, there's lots of things that we can do and teach our children to do to help themselves why they do learn. Because as they learn, whether they like to play the piano or whether they want to play the drums or whether they can sing, there's so many different things, but we have to put them out there and let them try things to find out what it is that they want to try. And if they say, I want to try to play baseball, and you're pushing them to football, then you're not giving them the opportunity to try something they might actually enjoy. And you might even love it because they're in it, you see? So we're all able to learn something just by being interactive with our own children, because every child is different, just like us. I have 4 sisters, and none of us are alike. We're all different, and we all talk at the same time. So you have to, if someone else comes in the room, they're overwhelmed by us, but we're used to it. And, it's because we're all individuals, and we always will be. And the thing is, we should be. That's what makes the world what it is, by our diversity. Even in your own family, you're diverse on what your thoughts are, what your dreams are, what you want for yourself, and what you want to see the future of the world be, whether they want to be a veterinarian or they want to be a bronc rider. We don't know. And if we don't get them out there and let them experience life, because they can do things for themselves and they're learning as they go, we're closing so many doors on so many futures of children because we're not giving them the opportunities to be able to reach out and grab them when they should be able to, because we're not putting it in front of them. Sorry, went on a rant.
No, I think you're right. And I think one of the things that we should do is encourage that creativity, that individuality. But when we design our new curriculum, which has to be done, I'm just completely convinced that the whole system needs to be rebuilt. Reverse engineer the skills that you would need to be a good citizen. Reverse engineering is very effective in the engineering field. It can be effective in our education system. If you know that you want your citizens to be able to pay their taxes because they're expected to do that, they have to understand how the government works because they're expected to participate in that system. They need to be able to be self-sufficient. You're going to have to deal with a car unless you're in a city. So teach them the things they need to know to keep their car maintained. You're going to have little things in your house, whether you're a renter or a homeowner. You're going to probably have to change the float in your toilet. You might have to change a light switch. Now, you don't have to be a full-blown electrical engineer, but there are skills you need as an adult in life. So start there, design the curriculum. And that's why I say we get rid of the standardized testing. And I just want to have a skills-based testing where when my kid gets out of elementary school, middle school, and high school, these are the things he can do. He can speak these languages. He has these skills. And this is the character development. I can work on that at home, but that's what I want to see in that higher education level at the high school level. Remove the political ideologies from it, but talk about the idea of ethics. Talk about, the trolley experiment and all these things that we have arguments about, and allow that discord, that divisive conversation to take place, because that's when your kid is going to develop that individuality. Your kid might not think exactly like you, but if they've been able to critically think and make their own decisions about these complex topics, then you've succeeded as a parent. The school has succeeded as an educational institution. And that's what I would like to see happen.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see anyone who wouldn't want that for their children, that type of choice for their future, to be able to see them leave your house and know that you don't have to worry about them every minute, because you already have criminals out there. You have to worry about car accidents and boat crashes and whatever else, that type of thing, and not have to worry about whether or not they're going to be able to get a job and feed themselves.
I'm so worried about my guns. I mean, I'm so worried about my guns. I think they're going to be lost in a freak boat accident here soon.
It could happen. Could happen. But the thing is that it is up to us. It's up to you and me, and not just for our own kids. When we all work together and come up with good ideas to be able to work as a team, we'll get a lot more done. And that's why we have to stop being so petty about every little thing that someone does and say, oh, I'm just tired of that. I just get sick of it. And I just leave. I don't even have to sit there. I mean, you're not paying me to stay there, to be in a space and listen to some person go on and on about the same thing every single day, and never come up with any ideas of how to fix anything. They just go on and drone on. And I see it in lots of different things, not just on Twitter, but on every single app where people are voicing their opinion. It's almost the same people, the same crowd of people talking about the same thing over and over again. And you look at what's going on right now with this whole thing for the Speaker of the House. Okay, well, we're there because we pushed ourselves there, basically, because nobody wants to work with anyone else for the betterment of everyone. You see, they're all for themselves. It's like, I'm going to take what I want. I don't give a shit about anybody else. And that's what I'm seeing. That's what I see every day in politics and pretty much in everything. If you ran your house the same way you had to run a business, okay, you have to have money. You have to have accountability. You have to have rules and regulations for it to stay afloat. Okay. And if you spend your every dime you have every week and you're out of money for 3 weeks, your business isn't going to stay afloat. You can't pay your employees. You can't buy food. You can't keep the electricity on, the water running. So I don't understand. I just don't understand how we can rely on those people to make sure that our kids are going to be taken care of, because we can't. We can tell by the way they do things in public what are they doing behind the closed doors? So I just worry about the kids. I really do. I think we can do it. I really do believe we can, because I see parents that are doing the homeschooling and they're making a big difference. They're making a huge difference for their children, but they can't do it for anybody else until we take our towns back and say, okay, we're all these parents. You got 8,000 parents waiting on a waiting list. That's 8,000 people that's willing to maybe get down and say, okay, we're gonna make our own school. We're gonna start today, and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have fundraisers. We're gonna do this, that, and the other. We're gonna find that abandoned building. We're gonna make a deal with this person that we'll do this, that, and the other by fixing up the building so it's worth more money later. You see, there's tons of things you can do, but the thing is we have to get with other like-minded parents that want to see the same thing for their kids and start doing something with it. That's what I feel, that we could do something that way by just grassroots, just like the gentleman said in the video we watched. Grassroots, us.
But that's what I want. I want to that's why I'm searching right now for a community to go to. I would like to basically, if there's an X city or X location that needs somebody to do that for the community, I'd be the guy. Like it'd be like a kind of like a corny Hallmark movie. Comes to town, helps Christmas, save the day, and all that stuff, and whatever. That'd be nice. Because that's what I want. Because I'm just done with it. Because again, it's basically we're here sitting here and could complain and feel miserable about doing something, and then talk about it on Spaces or whatever. It's time to act, and the way to act is to start with cleaning up your life. Taking responsibility. Look, basically getting yourself up off your ass, going to the mirror and saying, you know what? The situation I'm in right now, the situation the world's in, is my fucking responsibility. I caused it because I was distracted. I was just focused on the wrong thing. I need to be focused on my own well-being, not about wealth, not about giving money. It's about what good can I do for myself, and be good, have a good soul, good spirit, and then do right for my family, my community, and make it out that way. Everything else, I don't want it to bother with me. But again, then have that to foster real debate again, where you can actually have somebody disagree and then have that solution. Where it used to be, because now these kids are getting a rude awakening for what we all knew about what the Israeli Hamas conflict's been. It's because it's not a new conflict. It's a very old. It's older than it's thousands. It's millennia years old, but they don't know this. Now they're understanding it. So then, there's this. Sometimes people will never disagree. And what do you have to do with that? You have to live with those people. And right now you're seeing one side calling for just genocide across the supporting the Palestinians, and then call what they're doing, and then saying that Israel should be gone, and they're very misguided. And then the other side is calling for war and destruction. It's the uniparty a circus. It's a clown world. And I'm about, no, that, you all have to just behave and stop acting like kids and just coexist, period.
Yeah, but see, that's like a couple years back when I started seeing more and more things in the city outside of New Orleans, because I lived in Metairie, and it was just getting so bad. I mean, after Katrina, a lot of people thought, wow, this is going to be great. Things are getting back going, blah, 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 blah. But it didn't. It's just the rules and regulations started going down. I mean, they were going, people could just do whatever, loitering, hanging around, robbing people and stuff like that. And they were getting a little pat on the, they weren't punishing people anymore. And that's because everybody was so more feeling sorry for the people that were committing the crimes than the people that the crimes were committed on. They could break in my house and beat me up and take all my stuff. But if I was to have shot the guy in the leg, then he could sue me and take my house.
Which is why you shoot him in the head and don't let them talk to you in the courtroom with a lawyer present. No.
Okay. Well, I understand that. But
everything
so
is
what did I do? I decided that I didn't want to stay there anymore. So I decided to buy me some land with a well, and I got chickens I'm raising, and I got on a website that was free, backyardchickens.com, and learned as much as I could from them and talking to other people. And I have chickens. I can raise them from chicks to an adult and have eggs, my own eggs. I clean my coop. I do all these things I learned on my own because I wanted to do something different for myself and my family, right? And the same thing, you get in a greenhouse. I'm doing that. I'm learning about, I want to learn more about hydroponics and things like that so I can be away from the government. If one day they pull the plug on us, they have us on digital currency, I don't have any money, I can sustain myself. I can help my friends. I have stuff to barter with, things like that. I'm learning all that because I see bad things in the future. But guess what? If we can fight and take it back, and I won't ever have to do, I won't have to do anything with that. I'll know these skills and I'll have it, because I can still have this stuff that I'm learning, but I won't have to use it to survive on if we all can come together and start making changes to save our communities, you see? So, I'm just one person, but if there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more of me that try to do the same thing, then we're making a difference. And that's how I try to look at things.
Yeah,
myself.
but we're going to get resistance. We're going to see there's been people that have tried to come out with privatized, educational models. The problem is the state will come in unless you do it in the style of like what they call the homeschooling pods. If you don't do it in that style, and even with homeschooling, there are state standards depending on what state you're in that you have to meet. And until we get a handle of the power of the teachers unions and we can actually allow a real privatized model or a homeschooling pod model that has multiple different curriculums for you to choose from, like this one's more academic based, this one's more character based, this one's more physical education based, but it gives that parent, it's crazy. We know that competition breeds innovation in the private market. Look at how the cell phone technology develops so rapidly. If we would have had that sort of innovation in our education system, we would have super kids right now because of the tech that would be available with the innovation that this private school would try this model. It wouldn't work, but they'd notice that this model over here was working. So they take the things that were working from that model. And over the years and years and years of taking the bits and pieces of what works, dropping what doesn't work, we would have a system right now, if we would have started that in the 70s, that would be producing kids that were more educated than the people in the 1400s. Unfortunately, we don't have that. We have a lot of people that are functionally illiterate. There's states that have removed the requirement. I want to think, what's the one state I'm thinking of? I want to say it's on the Oregon. I think it's Oregon. There's a state that has removed the standard to be able to read and write to graduate high school because, reading and writing is racist. So we have to remove the standard.
They're lowering the standards.
No, I mean, there's no standard. You can graduate high school without being able to read or write.
In every state, they're lowering the standards in schools. Okay, because they're having more and more problems because it spreads like a disease. Okay, and the thing is, when you have teachers that don't care whether the student can read and write, that it's okay to let them graduate that way, that tells me that system's broken because you can't have children graduated from high school that can't read and write. They can't pass a test to get their driver's license. They can't do a lot of things. So they can't even fill out a thing to get a job, down at McDonald's. They can't even fill out the paperwork to get a job at McDonald's. I mean, think about it. It's sad. But the thing is all we need is one city, one town where the families get together and decide we're going to do it and start it. They do the first one, because once we have one that's working and it's functioning, then other people are going to say, we can do that in our town. Then we can do that
I
in
have
our
I have a good piece of news related to this.
What?
You want to share my screen? I'll pop it up here real quick.
Essentially, we're all in the matrix and everything is meant for us to consume or to influence us to do things.
San Antonio Independent School District proposes 17 school closures for 2024 to 25 and 2 more in 25 to 26. So they're doing this.
Yeah.
In a plan to consolidate, they've got overextended resources after decades of declining enrollment. They're calling it right sizing. Okay. Now they're getting rid of some childhood centers there. If you can't read, I'll just make that a little larger. Okay. There we go. All right. Along with some pre-K to 8th grade. They're closing in the next couple of years. 23 schools have more students. And they're doing this because the success of homeschooling and the magnet schools they're actually teaching kids something. You get your little child, you send him to a public school, he becomes indoctrinated. He's a bad product for your house, but he's good for government. But if you homeschool your kid, or you send your kid to a school that requires you to pay a good chunk of money to have your kid learn shit, it's amazing. Your kid will return to you with stuff in his head that you appreciate being there, and he can have a conversation without turning into an emotional basket case. Like, pronouns. All right. So they're talking about this. They're trying to get this to pass. And the city's looking at this rather with trepidation. 23 students per school per class is going to be big, but they're trying to right size 19 school districts out of existence. That's a lot. This is a city with like 1.3 million in it right now. Right now, 2023. This school, them closing these schools, perfect thing for the city, because we are so far into the red. And I think it's because of people that are homeschooling. That's the primary piece.
But what's really sad is they're spending, every time I turn around, all I hear is, if we just had more money, we'd have better results. But they're doing this. It's just like they always said, you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, and I've seen it for half my lifetime. And it's terrible, because nobody's wanted to do anything different. And this is great. That's why I think that when I heard Divisive talking about it, I was like, oh my God, this guy, I'm sending him a message and say, I love what your ideas are, so awesome. And it's just so nice to see somebody so dedicated and filled with the passion of with good ideas, things that we can actually use that can turn stuff around. And it's all it's going to take is one school. If we can just open one school somewhere where we have enough kids to make a student, a list of students for different ages, and see it working, and having parents working with us, to get the kids through the school, I just think that would be it. That'd be a landmark case. And then every other state will start saying, look at this case. We can do it. They did it. Let's try it. Let's take it here. Just like the homeschooling thing. Now, years ago, back when Little House on the Prairie was famous, everybody homeschooled, And then when the little town had a school, they found a woman or a man that would be the teacher of the school. And then all the kids went to school, and they were able to take, like a slate to write on, and they all shared books because there were very limited resources, but they were able to do it. And each time the new year came around, there was a few more students. So that's how it grew. But the thing is, parents were involved more. Okay. They just gave up. The kids were just shoveled off to school, and then we put more and more resources into the schools, and now we have what we have today, which is chaos. And now parents are fighting and taking their kids home again and trying to do it for themselves, because they realize that schools were not doing what they should do for their child, and they were able and had the resources to be able to have their child at home and have one of the parents stay home and take care of them and teach them something. So not every parent has that, because some parents have to have 2 jobs or more to be able to pay their bills and take care of their families. So,
and that's why I said an important component to this is to make sure that we have an option for continuing education for adults outside of the college system that exists today, Because one of the things that you will fix is as you produce these competent people, you will have people that will be able to make the choices in life to get them to a position where they'll be able to homeschool their kid. They'll be able to have one income because of their financial literacy levels, because of the quality of the skills they have. They will be able to plan during their family planning phase. Hey, based on our skill sets and our income levels, which one of us is going to take on the education role for our kids? And I think Bruce touched on something really important that is kind of overlooked when we talk about education. In my state, it's a very small state. There's only 3 counties, but there's 27 school districts. And this is one of the huge problems that we have, is a huge chunk of our public education budget is in administrator salaries. These aren't the people who are teaching our kids. These are at the school board level. These are at the planning level. Superintendents. Yes, absolutely, Bruce. And that's something we can't overlook. And I think that if we offer a privatized model that is, I think Ruben touched on some of my favorite writers, right? You have people like Heinlein. You had people that really wrote about this. I think Herbert was mentioned. He's a great example. You had Isaac Asimov, who wrote The Foundation, a wonderful series. If we could create our own foundation, essentially, but our foundation is for education, and it has a private component to it, or it's completely private, that is where you will get what we were talking about earlier with the competition. People will look, and that's why I say there are people that are doing this well. Education hasn't gone off the cliff in every country in the world. It's gone off the cliff here. But in other places, China has I don't agree with their political system, but they have a very robust educational system. They are producing some very competent people, and you can see it in a reflection in statistics, right? I think you can judge a society by its obesity rate, by its average first marriage. What is its divorce rate? How many people are committing suicide? All these things are indicators for how well your society's doing. It's like a health checkup. And there are places that have dramatically improved. Their numbers have improved. Obesity has gone down. You have more people getting married. You have more people owning homes, being first generation homeowners. And we have to look to those models, say, all right, this is what they're doing that's working. We start that here. We open up the competition. Maybe our school is doing it a little bit differently than the school that opens up to compete with us. But we see what they're doing well, and we adopt it. We drop the stuff that we're not doing. And over time, that model just improves and improves. And to bring it back to a reference from earlier, and then we're all learning at a Vulcan Academy and we're all Spock. That would be the outcome.
It would be awesome. I really think it would be awesome to see the progression of the children that are attending these schools, and then see the first set of kids that graduate. That then we could say, see the testing on these kids compared to that school or that school.
Have you ever seen one of these kids? So I have a friend that I work on this with. They're a Chinese exchange student. Their family came to visit, and their little sister at like 9, she couldn't have been more than 9. I think if I had to guess, her age was like between 6 and 10 years old. Like that's the age group. She spoke 5 languages fluently. The parents, when they were visiting, would have conversations with her in English. They'd have conversations with her in Spanish. She spoke Arabic and Mandarin Chinese. And they would have different conversations throughout the day just to practice with her. And this kid, it was so impressive to me. She played multiple instruments. When they came to visit, she brought like 3 woodwind instruments. She could play the piano. And I'm thinking, this is like a 9-year-old child that is far more just interesting, because it made her such an interesting person that she could speak all these languages, play all these instruments. And she was having very high level conversations. And it makes me think of the fact that the guys who created our country were like 18 to 21 years old, like a lot of them, like Jefferson. And it's crazy because now we have this extended period of arrested development where, people live at home until they're 30, and they're just not very competent adults until they're in their late 20s, early 30s. And to see that in contrast with like what Alexander the Great was doing when he was 17, or this, Chinese exchange student that I knew that has been speaking languages his entire life. And he knew more about U.S. history than most of the people. I think at the time he knew more than I did about U.S. history. And that wasn't even his country. He knew everything about Chinese history too, but he knew that US history was important because we were the economic powerhouse of the world. So he had to study the Industrial Revolution. What made America so successful and how did they get their standard of living so high? He had to learn that because he's expected to contribute to his society. So he looked at what we did well and say, hey, I'm going to learn from that. And then when I have to contribute to China and build our society, I have that information to work off of. So I would love to see that come to fruition. It'd be amazing.
I think so too.
Yeah, you never stop learning. That's my motto. Because I never stop learning. I keep on learning, and I have my papers. I write a lot of stuff. I books, poetry, music, everything. So to keep on learning. So that's why you name any subject right now. I'm talking anything. I can bring any. I know about everything because I try to absorb as much as possible, and I want to continue to do that. That's my goal now in life.
Yeah. That's my dad. He's the one that told me, he said that every time you learn something, your brain gets a wrinkle in it. So when they do your autopsy when you're 90 years old and there's not very many wrinkles on your brain, we'll know you were very smart. So that's the kind of things my dad would tell me when I was a kid. But, I want to learn. I've learned how to crochet. I know how to garden. I know how to raise chickens. And I'm trying to learn how to do this type of thing. I write. I do a lot of things. And I feel very privileged that I have the choices to do that because I had parents that were involved in my upbringing, to make sure I read books and, read the newspaper and learned and listened to the news and watched shows that I love documentaries. I love, all kinds of different things. But a lot of people don't. They want to watch the same reruns over and over and over again, because, they already know what's going to happen. So they're not interested in learning something new or watching something new. And it's sad to me. But the thing is, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. All we can do is lay the stuff out there, show people what we could have, and to try to get them excited, especially people that have something to lose, which is their kids, right? It's sad to say it that way, but when you put something out in front of someone that has something to actually lose from not having something, they tend to listen to you, and they tend to give you input on what their point of view of something is, because they do see the need for it, because they're actually involved in those things. And it's the ones that don't have anything. Like if you're raised and you're just handed a house to live in, a check each month, why should you have to get up and go do anything to earn it? Right?
And what's interesting about this, Janet, we're talking about this and I mentioned the need to continue your education into adulthood. In America, there are these Confucius centers, and these have caused, some political drama. There's a lot of conversations whether we should allow them. But what's interesting for people who don't know what a Confucius center is, it's for anyone that's Chinese from 16 to 35. So if you're a 28-year-old, you can go to the Confucius Center, and what it does is it teaches you about Chinese language, cultural values, art, music, all these things. So we have one of those centers for adults in America, but we don't have a center for Americans. Like, we don't have a similar thing for 16 to 35-year-old Americans to learn about their culture and their music and their art and their language. Isn't that wild that those exist in the United States for Chinese people to learn about the Chinese cultural values and the Chinese, everything about it, from 16 to 35 years old, but there isn't an American equivalent? It's kind of a very strange thing if you think about it.
Well, I used the American equivalent I used was the library. She would go read something else, and then from there, as soon as I got a car, I would drive all across South America, of the United States, to places that I wanted to see. So I drove and did it on my own. So I did my little adventures, and that's what it sparked my whole a love for traveling and stuff. And that's why as soon as I got sick, it took away my ability to walk, and I'm fighting back to have that again, because there are so many places I want to see and explore, and now I have my bucket list of things I want to do. This, I got to get these things done.
But see, like the town that I'm in right now, they have a 1 year. You have this person that is in charge of the art center, right? They're voted in or they're given the position or whatever by someone. I don't know exactly how that's set up, but for 1 year, I remember it was great because the person that came in is like they cleaned the place up and they had it all set up where you could come in and you could see the different art from different people in your community and in the surrounding area, right? The hand painted things that they made, carved or whatever, painted. And then they would have shows where people from the community that weren't in there could bring their work and they'd have shows and you could get a ticket, and the money that you paid the ticket would help keep the place open and pay the rent and the electricity and things like that. But you get to see more and more diverse stuff from different people that are making things out of lint or whatever it is that they use in their mind to come up with something as art, right? But then 2 years went by before I could see it because I was traveling and doing lots of different things. Well, I went to one and I was sad because the new person, the place was dumpy. They had stuff leaning against the wall. They didn't have the same drive to want to inspire people. And that's where we fail, is because we don't keep track of the people that are supposed to do certain jobs and making sure that they're doing those jobs. You know what I mean? Nobody. And then when they do see it, they just go, oh, well, and they leave. But I didn't. I went up and said, what happened? I said, 2 years ago when I was here, it was magnificent. They had all this stuff. Where's that person? Well, they retired. And I said, well, who's in charge now? Well, so-and-so. And I'm like, well, they're not doing a very good job. Their website looks like crap. I couldn't find anything. There's no updated information. I mean, it's just sad. But I'm a big mouth. I go up and I tell people, this is terrible. I mean, I'll volunteer to come and help clean up this place, or I'll help you do this, and I'll volunteer. But then guess what? I don't get a phone call. Nobody calls me and asks me to help because other people aren't motivated to see anything back the way in its glory. You know what I mean? So that's the sad part, is that people like me have to be a nag basically to see a change affected, and you have to work your way up the totem pole to the right person that's going to say, yeah, that person needs to get back to work, that type of thing. But I'm still going to do it. I mean, I'm still going to be annoying to someone because to me, it makes a difference. But to see other people that are inspired and want to do something for their community is inspiring to me, because that shows that there's other people that feel the same way as I do, but they're willing to speak up about it and put their money where their mouth is. And I like those people. So anything else you want to say, Bruce? About what you were talking about earlier?
You guys are being pretty much hitting all the nails I've been wanting to hammer, so you're good.
Okay, well,
there is something I did want to know about. Did you inquire about this Hilton Hotel at the?
Yeah, I sent you a link about that, but I didn't get a chance to really look into it or anything. Okay. Do you have any more information?
I want to look this up real quick because I'm smelling something on this. Like I don't know, this doesn't smell right.
Yeah, because I sent that to you because it's in your state, right?
Yeah, it's in here. Well, okay. Houston is technically in Texas. We would like it to go a little further towards the third sandbar on the day it has its period, but that's just me.
I try to send you guys things if I see something that's from your state. I try to send it to you so that you'll know about it, because I don't know whether you knew about it or not, and I wanted you to see it because someone else had brought it to my attention. So I was like, well, I'm not there, but someone else is there. Maybe they can find out more about it. So that's what I do. I know it's annoying sometimes, but
well, this was supposed to be coming up. There was a pro Houston or in a pro Hamas supporter bullshit on the 27th through 29th for the Palestinian rights, U.S. campaign for the Palestinian rights. And these people they're not human beings. Okay. And I'm just going to say, I don't fucking like you. If you like Palestinians and you think that they selected Hamas and Palestinians are different. Well, Palestine elected Hamas to run their government, and Hamas's charter has the destruction of Israel and every Jewish person in the world being slaughtered as part of their fucking charter. So go fuck yourself. And probably just self-delete or lay in the road like you're anti-oil organizer. I will get to you shortly. It'll happen. I hate fucking Palestine. Call it my ancestral Roman hatred of Philistines, which the Palestinians are just the natural evolution of a pile of shit. And you guys are always saying, not just you people here, go off. I fucking hate people that say, well, you can't judge the children. The children have done no wrong. Okay, I studied statistics and juvenile crime in my studies for Leo work before I decided that maybe I'm not the guy to do it. But I'm going to tell you that if you're a piece of shit and you have all this list of fucking crimes, sex crimes, retail theft, fucking espionage, you don't pass it on to your kids through the genetics, but your little shit-brained child sees what you're doing and eventually puts together, I could do it better than dad because dad gets caught. And so the kids will develop their own rap sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, if you're a pile of shit and you're making kids, your kid's going to be a pile of shit too. So,
yeah, and we have that in every big city in the United States.
Well, I have it on a countrywide level, even though Palestine doesn't have its own currency or anything. They've just elected. The only paperwork they've made is declaring Hamas is in charge of them. By the way, Hamas is funded by Iran, another pile of shit. And they were known as a pile of shit, but when they let the Islamic Revolution screw over their country, take away women's rights, and turn it into a miserable fucking dystopian hellhole ran by the moon god, I lose faith in people that are proudly Iranian. Listen, Persian people are great. Persian myths are cool. But Islam is a backwards ass fucking theory for religion and how to run a cult. And if you get offended, I want you to fuck yourself with sandpaper because I don't want you to spread your seed. I don't want you to have kids. That's my TED Talk. Thanks for coming. I'm not sorry. And it looks like the Galleria area hotel that the Hilton was going to be holding this pro-Palestinian conference. This is a sad story. KHOU.com reported that they canceled it, citing safety concerns. Imagine that. Everywhere these miserable Palestinian flag waving losers go, there's violence. So but Houston, for once, has done the smart thing. Golf clap for Houston. Maybe you don't deserve to get flooded. I'll put that in the linkage.
But here's the rub. It is all meant to divide. And sure. It is all meant to cause you to have an emotion. That is why
I've always hated them ever since I learned of the Philistines, and I figured things out like they were causing trouble for the Romans. The Jews didn't cause.
I know, but the thing is, everyone has been deceived, and if they are asleep, you have to forgive. That
God forgives better than I do. We can
no, but the thing is that the only thing I'm saying is that I don't want your blood pressure to go up. I don't want it to affect your soul and spirit. That's the point. You're awesome. I don't want that evil to affect you and raise your blood pressure. That's my own thing, because I've realized that now. I have gone through so much. And we are all going through so much. And when I say all, I say 8 billion people are going through something horrific right now. Mm-hmm. And the last thing we need is for it to affect our loving hearts. Because everyone here is a loving person. And I'm not trying to put you in a hole or anything. I'm just saying you have heard me go on rants before. I have gone on way more atrocious rants, been banned on Twitter, been on all that stuff. And I'm at the point now where I get it. I finally get it. They want me to go insane. They want us to go mad and rip each other apart. and I say, this is it. This is done. We're done with it. No more of this crap. We have to basically say, we're not doing this anymore. I am not going to put my arms up. World War III could start any moment. And they want to they want to send our kids for a useless war, have all the money spread out there and all that stuff. What's going to happen there? And again, they may do the devil's bargain. If, let's say, something horrifying happens, they get everything, blah, blah, blah. It's all done. And they basically say, okay, no more cash. And we're going to have everybody have the seal. And you get a debt jubilee. You don't owe anything anymore. And you start fresh. Would you take the deal? It's going to happen. I swear. No, I'm serious. This is what they're going to do. A debt jubilee is going to happen. It's something they're going to do something very radical.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that it's sad. All of it's sad, but we can't control what other countries do. We can barely even control what we're doing in our country. Okay. That's why I'm always saying the same thing, is that we have to start where we live in our own community. Just like you said at the beginning of the show, when you said you're starting with yourself.
Yep.
Right. We can control what we do on a daily basis and try to affect others by showing them, look at me. This is what I do. And I'm not a bad person. I'm doing the best I can. I try to be there for my friends. I try to be there for my family. I try to be honest and show people that you can be an honest person and work hard and have a decent life and have an enjoyment in your life, and laugh and enjoy things, because that's it. When I die, none of this stuff goes with me. It's just me. And all my electrical impulses that are in my brain, all the experiences that I had, I believe are going to go with me. But that's it. None of this, none of this goes with me. But the impact that I left on other people, the people I hugged, the people I loved, the people I laughed with, those people are going to always remember me because of what we shared together. And that's all we have right now in the way the world is set up, is what we have to offer each other and what we share with each other. That's it.
Do two things. Sorry. Do two things. Number one, for 2024 right now, start to write your obituary. What do you want your legacy to be? And then the second thing is, what's your bucket list for things beyond 2024 too? From that list, what do you want to be remembered for? And then what do you want to accomplish? And then start doing those things. Have fun. You want to do a podcast. You want to watch more movies. You want to create more movies. I want to do that too. I want to create content. I want to get out there and help other people. And again, I see, a lot of potential out there, a lot of good stuff. Because again, we're being inundated by negativity. Let's bring some positivity. And that's what we're going to do here. So I'm supporting that.
Yes, me too. I try to, even though I go off on my little rants myself. But the thing is, to me, it's worth it because I'm passionate about where our future is for our children and what we're leaving for them. Because one day we're not going to be here. All four of us will be gone. We'll be dead. And what we've left is all they have left, okay, of us. And so what are we leaving for them? What are we teaching them to be able to do for themselves? Unless we don't do anything, then nothing's going to change. It's going to get worse. So that's what I'm fighting for. That's what I believe in, is what we do today is going to affect them tomorrow. And whenever I hear someone else that has the same passion and thoughts of what we can do, and they actually have some other ways of doing it, I think it's great. And, I'm thankful that I got to meet Divisive in a space and listen to what he had to say. And other people feel the same way as I do about him. And the same thing I felt about Bruce the very first time that he asked me to come on his channel and to talk about, things that I was interested in when I started my channel and things like that. Same way I met you, Ruben, through YouTube. So we're all brought together for a reason, and now we just have to figure out why. What can we do together, and how can we share information through each other to others to make a difference for the future of our kids. That to me is important, and I think we're making a difference right now. People in the chat are going to go talk to other people about it. And who knows what can happen? But I do believe that we are it. It's us. It stops. It ends with us.
Yep.
We're all that's left to save our country, because our government is already proven they're not capable of doing it.
We're the last resort. It's time for plan B. Hell, it's time for plan C. Shit. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's plan C for a community, a coalition, people coming together, having a federation that way. That's why I basically say I want to go to a small town in Missouri, a small town in Montana. Those are the two states I'm looking at right now. And then, work at the college, being a professor, or helping at a bookstore, or a library, or whatever. And then writing my books and helping America, helping everybody else. That's what I want to do now. I'm just ready for that now.
Yeah, and a lot of things that I see happen, like we all do talk about what the problems are in spaces. They say that good ideas die in the mind, which means that once you can have the best idea in the world, but if you don't enact on it, put it on a piece of paper, get an actual actionable plan that you can execute, it doesn't matter how good the idea is, because it's going to die in the mind. And we need to get better. There's a lot of people who have great ideas, but they don't know how to turn those ideas into actions. And that's one of the things that I think you have to embrace technology to do, whether that means using Rumble or the X platform, or whether that's using AI to help come up with your course curriculum. However you decide to use technology, get it out of your brain, get it onto a piece of paper, and then take it from the piece of paper into the real world. It's a very simple process, but it's one that a lot of people overlook. And I've known guys my whole life that they've had really great business ideas, and they've talked to me about it in detail. But I say, hey, where's your business plan? Oh, I don't have one. Oh, you got a really great idea for a podcast? Where's your content release schedule? Where's your show notes for your first 10 episodes? They have all these great ideas, but they don't know how to take it from their mind to a piece of paper or to a computer screen, and then take it from that medium into the actual world. And I think that's something a lot of people do need they need practice. They need kind of a mentorship to teach them how to go through that process. And I think if we can do that, we'll really start to make a difference. I think we are making a difference. I think a lot of people since COVID have come out of their shells, and they've become less narcissistic. COVID was a wake-up call for a lot of people. They saw the problems that we went through. They saw the government overreach, and now they're looking, whoa, that was crazy. I can't believe we went through that experience. How do we prevent that from happening again? And that's where a lot of people are starting to pursue their own education. Now we just got to give them an option so we can get that education to take place on a regular basis at a dedicated institution, and surround them with a network of people who also want to pursue knowledge as well.
On that, I'm going to couple onto that. For people that want to organize themselves, but they don't know how, it's real simple to start getting organized. And one way to do that is to just have a tool available to write things down. Your phone is with you at all times. If you so wish to download OneNote, I recommend that, because it's like the ultimate portable whiteboard. And you can go in there and scroll through, take notes on things, extrapolate, get further in detail. You can email yourself all the notes and such, and get that in your emails and flush things out, and develop your own whiteboard per se in a virtual format. If you don't want to do that, if you want to get an actual whiteboard, you're going to spend between about $30 and $50 getting a whiteboard mounted in your office, or in a location where you can look at it at all times and see the fact that you haven't done these things are on the whiteboard. I recommend each and every person have something on there, because having a plan is the ultimate roadmap to get yourself to Successville. If you don't have a roadmap, if you don't have an idea of where you want to be at, then you're never going to get there. At the very least, write down your goals. It's better if you start to detail plans on how to do that. Like you said, get a release schedule if you're going to be doing podcasting. Me and Janet, we have one of the best, most undiscovered podcasts out there, which is Monday Night's Girl, a Guy in a Movie. But we plan shit out for weeks in advance. And that's something, I mean, I know we don't plan our show, we don't script it at all. But why? Why would we do that? We're going off the cuff, off of the fresh movie notes from the day before and our personal opinions on what we found out between point A and point B, which point B being right now we've pressed live, and we are now talking to the people that are there to listen to what we have to say. And that is the one thing I've noticed, that if we plan ahead, if we decide that we're going to do certain things, we both take exquisite show notes and we want to talk about them. And Janet and I, we kind of fence for getting voice time. You'll hear it every Monday night. It's wonderful. But I do recommend, if you want to have a plan that you can follow through with, have something to help you look at your plan at all times. I recommend that. I'll never not say that.
And never be afraid to talk to other people about, how can I fix this? How can I make changes on this? What is your point of view on this? Because asking other people might give you even better ideas to come up with different ways of doing something. I remember when I first started talking to Bruce about wanting to do some things in my channel, because all I did was make shorts, and I started on TikTok, because I made them for fun. I thought they were funny, and I sent them to my friends, and I started a TikTok. I'm almost at 10,000 now. But the thing is, because of Bruce and a few of my other YouTube friends, it's the only reason I ever did a live stream. Okay, and I wasn't going to do it, but I got on and I watched videos from other people on how to make my intro video and how to make an exit video and things like that, and how to do a live stream, all that stuff. You have to take the time out of your life and do something with it to push whatever it is that you want forward, because no one else is going to do it for you. Just like you were saying, is that we have to make the decision, put it down on paper, and try to have something happen with it. And it was funny is that I sat for hours and weeks working on all types of things, having live streams, not being able to figure it out, and crying on a live stream going, I just can't do it. I give up. I just can't do it. And I tried really, really hard. And I watched a video, and it was a 10-year-old boy. A 10-year-old boy showed me how to make a video and put it in front of my other video when I wanted to start a live stream. And because of it was a child, for some reason, I could sit and I could listen to him because he was talking to me on my level, I guess, as a 10-year-old, thinking of it that way. And it just popped, and I understood what I was supposed to do. And Bruce is really good at that, because I'm constantly thinking 24/7. I'm just, my mind is going, my hands are going all the time. And Bruce has got a way of being able to talk to me and explain to me, because he's the one that took me and he said, push this button, do this, that, step by step through it. And we went live, and I was the one on my channel doing a live stream because of Bruce showing me. But that's what I'm saying. You have friends and family, and they can help you. When you have an idea of something you think you can do, if you tell someone, you talk to others about what you want and what you can see in your vision for the future of something, they might want to be involved with it. With you, they might want to do it with you, and they can be your partner in it. You just don't know. But if you never tell anyone or share your view with anyone, no one will know about it. So it's important that you have other people that you can talk to about what you think is great for our future. And who knows what can happen. I really believe in that. I believe that like-minded people are going to say, yeah, we can do this. Just like I think what you were saying, Divisive, about the 8,000 parents. I'm telling you, that's a lot of people. That's enough people to start something big and make something great. I really believe that when it comes to the kids.
Yeah, and for something like that, I saw someone in the chat, they say, I have no motivation. whenever you're going to do something like whether it's political or a podcast, you need to separate the idea of motivation from discipline. Discipline is your dinner. That's what you need to live on. But your motivation's dessert. It's nice when you have it, but you don't get dessert with every meal. And if you're going to be successful at anything, you have to make sure that you develop that discipline muscle. Discipline is a muscle. It requires you to practice it on a regular basis. And if you skip it a few times, you lose it very quickly, whether that's the gym, whether that's doing a podcast. It is absolutely a muscle you need to exercise. And one of the things I tell people, like, if you're going to start a podcast, you know, this is just to use this for an example, make sure that you plan it out. You make sure that you do the research that you need to add value to the people that are going to be watching your podcast, and watch yourself before you publish it. When you publish it, you can make sure that what you're creating, you might find weakness. Maybe you don't speak very well. Maybe you're not covering enough of the material in detail. So what you do is you watch yourself back and then use it as a way to develop your skill over time. And I think that'll really help a lot of people out. Just stay disciplined with it and make sure that you're doing it in a way that you're proud of. Because a lot of people will create content like reaction channels. They'll watch a clip and they'll talk about a clip, but they don't even watch the full podcast that the clip is from. And your audience is going to know that. Your audience is going to know that because there's going to be people in your audience who watch that entire podcast. And then your entire perspective is different because you didn't even take the time. And your audience is going to see that. They're going to be like, look, he's making a clip about this podcast and he didn't care about it enough to watch the entire podcast. So if he doesn't care that much about his content, why should I care about his content? And we need to do that in every area of our life, whether that's, you know, our health, whether that's our content creation, whether that's our political ambitions. Make sure you put in the necessary work, develop your skills, fill in your deficiencies by either working on your deficiencies or building a network where you can bring someone in to help fill those areas where you kind of are deficient. I think that's really good advice in general.
The most important quality you should have is persistence. Be persistent in everything that you do. You will not achieve greatness every day because life is unfair, and that's the reality of it. It's not, again, forces are out to get you. Forces are not in your favor, but that's the challenge. And again, if you know that you have these challenges, again, you were born or created a winner. Think about when you were that sperm hit the egg. You're a winner right off the bat. Okay, so don't even think that anybody out there or anybody you've heard or anytime that you've had that inner thought that I'm a loser. No, you're not a loser. You're having a setback, but here's what you have. You have me. If you want to reach out, you find me on Discord, find me on Twitter, find me on what do you call it, YouTube, Rumble, all that stuff. Find me. Let's talk. Because again, I'm ready to live a life and give hope and love back into our hearts so that we can survive and be a better society. Because times are really weird. The war about coming together, the people are feeling things. The vibe is really weird, and we have to just stay steadfast and be a vessel of love. Let's continue to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. But I want to say thank you to everyone for coming tonight and listening to us talk about things that we think we could do in our communities to save our children from the rest of us not knowing how to teach them how to take care of themselves and how to have a future where they can take care of themselves. And I don't know. I have hope that one day we're going to be able to look at the future and say, wow, look at what we did. We took nothing and made something great for our children. And one day it'll be our kids doing it because they were inspired by us, their parents and their grandparents and their great grandparents that took the chance to do something different and save our institution. And the thing is, we aren't number one anymore. We used to be, but we're not anymore. We were very powerful We used to be able to do a lot of different things for the world. Used to look up to us, but I don't think they do anymore. And it would be nice to one day be able to feel like when I put my hand over my heart and say the Pledge of Allegiance, that the rest of the world looked up to us like they used to when I was a little kid. At least I felt like that's how I felt. That doesn't mean that it's not true today, because I don't live in another country, but just from talking to certain people from other countries, they don't respect who we are right now. And I'm hoping that we can make a change and have our children get respect when they do travel to another country, because they'll say, wow, you come from America. That's the best country in the world. That would be nice to know that people would say that to my child when they travel somewhere on their own.
Before you send your kid off to another fucking country,
Oh, wait, what is
or anything, make sure you teach your kid how to drive a stick shift, because when your kid goes over there and he's acting like Billy Badass, I'm cool on Instagram, I'm an influencer, and then he gets in a fucking car, he gets in some 1980s East German built shit box, and he doesn't know what the fucking clutch is for, but he learns that he can kill a car battery trying to start it 30 times and then can't get into first gear. Just wait until that humiliating report comes back and your fucking wonder fucking bred teenage kid is calling you on some $3 a minute call from fucking Germany.
Why is he in Germany? Why is he there in the first place?
Because Germany is what I picked for some shitbox vehicle, and that's a perfect example, because he made shitbox vehicles back in the 70s and 80s when there was a dividing wall through Berlin and the rest of the shithole country. And not that all of Germany's a shithole, it's just that most of the communists make shitholes. Just fucking deal with it. And I don't send your kid to another country if he can't drive anything but an automatic. At least if you do, throw an extra few thousand in his account so he can do Uber, because Americans cannot drive fucking anything but an automatic. I just talked to 3 drivers today that were applying for a job with us, and only one of them applied because we have a vehicle he can drive.
I can drive a stick. That's because I had a good grandpa, though.
Never mind. Sorry.
But yeah, I put that up there, but I didn't know what it was for. And I don't know who put it down there. Was that from you, Bruce? About the maggots or the bugs?
Oh yeah. This is let me bring on this article here.
Okay.
Tyson, one of the biggest meat producers, is investing in insect protein. Tyson, a major U.S. producer of beef, pork, and chicken, is betting on protein that comes from insects. You will eat the bugs. The meat processor said on Tuesday that it has invested in Protix, a Netherlands-based insect ingredients maker. Tyson is not only taking a minority stake in the company, but is working alongside it to build a United States factory for the bugs. That facility will use animal waste to feed black soldier flies, which is then turned into food for pets, poultry, and fish. Tyson did not disclose the financial specifics of the deal. Those flies
is it because it's protein?
Tyson did not disclose the financial specifics of the deal. These flies are not going into human food at this point.
Well, you got to remember, I'm not so upset about it. I ate bugs. My dad was a jungle survival instructor. So I have had cookies and all kinds of things made with dried worms. Sure. I've eaten cattails, not cats, but the kind that grows out on a lake. I've eaten fiddleheads. I've eaten all kinds of weird bark.
There's certain things in the insects, though, we don't process well, like the chitin. The chitin will kind of wreck your asshole as it goes out in a turd. Okay, you're not supposed to eat the whole bug. You're not supposed to.
Well, I know, but the thing is that if people decide to do it, I have friends that are worm farmers, and they've used the worm flour to make certain things for different types of food. to me, as long as a person has a choice to eat it, if that's what they want, I don't have a problem with it. It's when they start forcing you, like in the movie. What was that movie where they made crackers out of people? I can't remember the name of it.
Soylent Green.
Soylent Green. If we ever get to where our government is forcing us to do something like that, then I'm going to have a problem with it.
Janet, you do not understand. Soylent Green is
a person wants to buy dried worms or bugs and put it in their food as a protein, I don't really have that much problem with it.
He does not understand. Soylent Green is just a blueprint for the future. The future is coming.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. If you basically grew up and your only reference to what Soylent Green is Soylent Green, it's people, right? Is that's your reference? That's a reference. That's your first reference to the movie, right?
So that's all I really remember. I don't really remember. I remember watching it on.
So
on
if
TV
you see
with my dad.
so if you see the movie with that reference, it makes no sense because you already know the answer.
Yep.
So at the end of the movie, when he says the line, it makes no sense because you already walk in knowing that what the story is about. So it's interesting. The fact that's what I'm saying, where most people don't know that we have lived through these things before, and we're watching it happen again, and we're telling them the punchline.
Well, that's the whole thing is that we have been through how many wars in the world and how many things and how many people have just repeat the same thing over and over again and cause more wars. And, that's human nature. I mean, because greed, people want more land, people want more power, and they want to fight over it. And as long as you've got humans and jealousy and greed, we're going to always have those things. So it doesn't matter how much you try to stop it.
No, but I missed the absurdity, like the following absurdity. We had General Milley saying that he did what he did with colluding with China because he was afraid of Trump starting a war. Yet now you have Biden doing a war.
Biden's doing a war,
and that's and everyone says he's doing a great job. And we can do two wars because we can afford it.
We did it before. We were still a World War champ by that time.
This is going down off the rails of like stupidity. It's like,
I know it is.
I remember
we don't have the money. We're so far in debt. Our great grandchildren are already in debt before they're born.
Remember in '91 on CNN. And when Baghdad Bob was out there, and we were laughing at him for saying that, there are no troops here, and then the troops were there in the camera. It's the same. It's 2020 with the whole. It's mostly peaceful, and then there's fire behind the guy. We're the clown now. We are the clown.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Friends from Norway, and I have friends in Europe. They're all telling me, you're right now your president isn't making you guys look very good. And I go, yeah, I know, but there's nothing I can do about it. I didn't vote for him. I can say that I did not vote for that guy. So that's all I have. But I do work the polls.
No one voted for him.
And I still say the same thing. I don't care who you vote for, but you need to vote. People died to give you the right to vote. And if you should work the polls if you can. If you don't have a job, please sign up to work the polls. I'm a huge believer in all that. I guess because my dad was in the military and we traveled around, and I was born in Newfoundland. I have a sister born in the Philippines. I have another sister born in Maine, another one born in Georgia. I mean, we lived a lot of different places, and I was lucky to have that. I still feel lucky to be an American. I'm thankful I'm an American, and I still love this country with all my heart. And all I want to see is our children have the same choices on being able to pick what they want to do and grow up to be as I had. And right now, I don't see that happening. I see so much bad stuff happening to children, and it's because parents are not doing their job, or they're not they're not able to because they're either on drugs or they're an alcoholic or they just can't get a job or whatever the sad thing is of why they're not doing it. It's the kids that are suffering more than anything. And they didn't choose to be here any more than we did. We were just born and we had parents, we didn't pick to be here, but we are. And now it's our turn to try to leave something better. And that's how
I tried voting Republican in Illinois. It didn't work for me. The state's still shit. And nobody takes my advice seriously when I say build a wall around the state, fill it with water. Once all the kicking stops, we can figure out.
Because they have to follow the law, that's why. But there's still people that want to see good things happen. And that's why I'm constantly saying that.
Pitch and a bunch of dead communists filling it. But nobody has the ball sack to do that.
Well, they do in other countries. They do in other countries.
I know.
And I'm glad I don't live there.
Even France
because honestly, if I was to go to another country, a lot of countries, if it was in the wrong religion or whatever, I would be nothing. I would be not equal. And I would probably be treated very bad compared to what I'm used to being treated like with respect. You know what I mean? So, and I wouldn't want my daughter to go there, So, but that's because I have knowledge of what goes on there. Those girls that are born there, they don't know any different. They didn't get to come here, live their life, and then be forced back there to have to live in that type of environment. And the only way I know this is because I went to school and I had parents that wanted me to understand the differences between different religions and different governments, things like that. I had that option, but a lot of people don't. Even in this country, just like what we were talking about earlier, people are graduating and they don't even know anything. They know less about our own country and the way it works than kids in other countries are learning in school. So it's up to us, for us to fight to get back where our kids have rights and our kids know things about their country and they have a chance to be able to get a good job. And are treated fairly because they can read the document. They can go and say, "Hey, you're trying to rip me off. I read this thing, and this is what I'm supposed to get, and you're only giving me this." See, how are they going to be able to do that if they can't read? So I'm just saying that's what I believe. I believe that we can make a difference, and it's up to us. It's all on our laps. That's exactly how I feel. And I don't think and I'll keep saying it until one day I'm not here anymore. I don't care who tells me I'm wrong. I can't help it. It's in my stomach. It's in my heart. And this is what I believe. And I think that it's up to us. And I think we can do something about it. And I'm going to keep shouting it until somebody listens. So I can't help myself. That's just the way it is for me. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. So
yeah, and I think the younger generation, they're growing up very different than a lot. Even me as a millennial, the Gen Zers, their experience is so far detached from my experience. What I'm talking about, my high school experience. Their high school experience is on a whole different level than what my high school experience was. And what we are seeing is they are completely rejecting the traditional forms of propaganda. There's a lot of younger Gen Z men who are, self-identifying as conservative. And one of the reasons that's happening is because they see the insanity in their schools and they don't watch TV. I can't tell you how many Gen Z young men I know that literally do not watch TV. They only watch Twitch. They watch Rumble. They watch live streams. They're on X. They're on alternative platforms listening to podcasts. And that is going to make a huge difference over time, because one of the reasons propaganda is so effective was because of the invention of radio and television being completely controlled by 6 networks. It was very easy to monitor the information that was being sent out into the airwaves. And it was very easy to shape public opinion. They don't have that kind of control over the younger generation of men. And I think reaching out to those guys, that's why someone like Andrew Tate became so famous. I mean, hundreds of millions of followers. His view counts on videos were insane. And it was all because you have these young men that are trying to figure out what the heck is going on in the world. And they're seeking out any source they can, any guy that they think is successful, that they want to look up to because he has either wealth or a hot girlfriend, or he just seems to know stuff about the world. That's who they want to listen to. They don't want to sit there and watch, 10 hours of cartoons like it was when I was growing up. It's a totally different generation.
And to the mainstream and the elites, he's a dangerous influencer because he's inspiring men to think for themselves, and they try to cancel him. And they're doing the same thing with Russell Brand, the same thing with Tucker Carlson, the same thing with so many different other ones out there. And it's just
demonized.
Even Elon.
Exactly.
Even Elon,
Musk.
they're attacking him with lawfare. Every one of his companies is under attack
Trump,
right now.
Trump and all those companies.
Well, the thing is that, I think it's great because I'm seeing more and more young women that are liking a man that wants to be a man, a man that wants to pull the chair out for them, open the door for them. And even if a woman like me, I'll open the door and the gentleman will say, thank you, which is courtesy. It's something I haven't seen for a while.
Okay.
I'm starting to see more of that. People saying, hello, how are you? In public, looking at each other in the face, things like that. I'm seeing more and more of that, which is, to me, it's inspiring. It's making me feel like we do have a chance. If people start taking their own life into their own hands and start making decisions for themselves and not letting someone else push them in one way or the other, I think we're going to start seeing a change. Just like you said, they're turning off the television because they're sick of it. They're sick of the same old, someone trying to tell them how to think and how to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're wanting to feel it for themselves.
And the reason you're seeing that, especially with the younger men, when you're talking about more masculine men, more feminine women, we talk about the red pill, but people don't even understand the origins. The red pill was started by G. Edward Griffin, the same guy who wrote The Creature from Jekyll Island about the Federal Reserve. He actually was the first one to create to coin the term red pill. And the way he described it, which is very different than what the manosphere is today, like the fresh and fits, the just pearly things. But the way he described it was that there was a psychological subversion taking place, that communism was rooted in this ideology that wanted to destroy families, make men feminine, make men weak, make women masculine, make them think they don't need men and that they need to prioritize their career over their family. And he said the only way to have a defense against an ideology like that is to create a counter ideology that completely rejects those notions. So the original red pill was supposed to be an ideological defense system against Marxism, against feminism, a toxic form of feminism that was taking root in society. That's what the red pill was started. And that's why, G. Edward Griffin started what was called the Red Pill Academy. And then people kind of picked up that term and have expanded it into the manosphere over time. And now we basically use that term for anything that means truth, right? You can have a red pill about immigration. It just means you're learning the truth about immigration, or you take a red pill about the globalist agenda, and it's just almost a term for truth. But it was originally meant to be an ideology that said, look, communism is going to make you weak. It's going to make you lazy. It's going to make you a feminine man. It's going to make you a masculine woman. And we need a counter ideology to that. And that's why I think G. Edward Griffin, his old, he made a movie that's still available on YouTube called More Deadly Than War. He was the one that did the famous interview with Yuri Bezmenov, who was the guy that everyone has seen that interview, or at least clips from it.
That interview is so good.
That was G. Edward Griffin who started that. And, after he had that conversation with Yuri, that's when he said, okay, if this is really happening, Yuri, if the communist demoralization is happening, how do we fight against it? And that's what the red pill was when it started. We just needed it. We never implemented it in our schools. We never took it seriously at a political level. But I think it might be time to do that and say, hey, look, this is a counter to what we've seen over the last 20 years of broken families, high obesity rates, high male suicide rates. This is a counter to these things, and this is why it's important. And Dr. David Buss has a very good book about this topic called Evolutionary Psychology. The 5th edition is available on Amazon. I recommend everyone read it. Thank you.
You know, I forgot about the Edward Griffin making the red pill statement, being the first one to do that, because some friends of mine pointed that out to me after the Matrix hit big. They said, "You really got to read this book," and I ignored it. It was the one Creature from Jekyll Island, and I finally got a chance to check that out. That's a hell of a book, but they're marketing that to kids now. Do you know that? They're marketing no. Glenn Beck on the Blaze. I know a lot of people don't like Glenn Beck. I don't give a shit. The Blaze recommends you get your kids The Creature from Jekyll Island, so they understand why their money isn't doing what it should. Could you imagine that?
Why it isn't money?
Yeah, it's not. It really isn't. It's fiat currency.
Yeah.
But I thought it was good. The other thing, there's another thing going on. If you guys did we talk about Senator Bob Menendez, the guy that made thousands of dollars off of the country of Egypt?
Yeah, they caught him with gold and CBD. He had a bunch of crypto. He had gold. And it wasn't just Egypt. Egypt was the main contributor, but he had received money from multiple foreign governments. And it's just the tip of the iceberg, Bruce. I mean, we all know that Washington, D.C. is completely corrupt. And every once in a while, they throw you a bone to make you think they're actually, prosecuting corruption. But Bob Menendez, he's only doing what half of our congressmen are doing. Half of our congressmen are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But what do we do? I mean, when we do find these people, I mean, and we see that nothing happens to them. So how does that tell the next generation, well, if you do that, oh, well, you're just going to get a slap on the wrist. Just be more secretive about it. You know what I mean?
I think if we just get a little bit more disapproval rates on Congress and the House, I think if we go a little further downward on the approval rate, at some point, the American public will snap. And I'm actually kind of hoping for that, because I can only see taxpayers, wage earners, wage slaves take so much shit, go pay $8 a gallon for gas just so many times before you don't find your fucking hands wrapped around the throat of some greedy pile of shit that's either a lobbyist, a senator, or somebody involved with the money laundering of your money going through Washington, D.C. filter, embezzled over fucking Ukraine and back into somebody's pockets. I wouldn't know who. I don't know if their kid would be like caught with crack pipes on fucking photographs, but I mean, I'm just saying at some point the American people are going to fucking snap, and it's going to we might have someone. I really hope that if they're going to try to lead us down this route to slavery, I hope we beat the fuck out of them so badly that they go hide for generations.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's why
that will happen, because you got to remember, we still have guns. I mean, I have multiple guns in my house. I have concealed carry.
I love these
because I believe in that right, and I was raised a military brat, so and I'm going to do it, and I'm in a state where that's legal. I see, so. I've made choices to better myself. You know what I mean? Because of what I've learned. And more people are doing the same thing. That's why you're seeing a lot of people leaving one state for another where they feel like they have a better choice for their families. And, I think things will start getting better once people start balancing things out. Seeing all these parents stand up and fight these school boards and stuff gives me hope. I know it's terrible to see it and stuff like that, but it gives me hope that they're taking it back. They're grabbing hold of what they see is wrong and saying, we got to fight together to save what we have, because this is our kids. And the love for their kids is the reason why these people are taking the extra steps, because the people that don't have children aren't as active in it. They're not as prominent in the front saying, I gotta go kick their ass because they're trying to, put a dress on my son at school without even talking to the parents, that type of thing. I'm hearing more and more and more of that. And I'm proud of people. I'm proud of people standing up and saying, no more shit, like next month, I'm going to be standing up in court, sitting there each day to watch someone I care about have to go through the court because something was pushed on them when they were underage and they didn't ask for it. But I'm going to be there and be supportive, and hopefully it turns out the way that we're hoping it will. But the thing is, it's happening every day, and it's not just me or my family, it's the millions of people. But if we don't stand up for the people we love and show them that we're there for them, who's going to, That's why it's on us. It's up to us to take back our towns and our communities and our states and own up. And say, yeah, we slacked off, but no more. We're not doing it anymore. We're going to start fighting for what we want and taking it back and not give them the money they want. If we stop funding all their crap, they'll run out of money. I mean, look at Disney's finally hurting. It took a long time, but people not buying tickets to their stuff or going to their parks because they feel like they're being forced their rainbow agenda on them and their kids, they're not buying tickets. And it's finally hurting, but it takes a while when these people have billions and billions and billions of dollars. For the little guys, $5 and $6 will make a difference. And it is finally starting to make a difference, So we can do it. We just can't give up. We have to keep fighting and stand with each other so we can keep each other strong so we can win for our kids.
The one thing I'm surprised about, though, Janet, is like when we had this boiling point, I would say this political boiling point in the past, there seemed to be social movement leaders that are they're absent in this generation. I don't know exactly why that is. I think there's been a chilling effect with, something like January 6th was a chilling effect to prevent somebody from wanting to become the next like Jacob Chansley and end up going to prison, a DC gulag or anything like that. But I have noticed that pretty much anyone that rises to that level of potentially becoming a social movement leader, they're usually canceled, they're hit with some sexual harassment or rape charge before they ever get to the level where we don't have Martin Luther Kings, we don't have Kennedys, we don't have Malcolm X's of this day and age. And it doesn't even matter how you feel about each of those people individually. The fact is those people existed and had massive social followings that they were able to direct the energy of those movements. We have these movements and the movement exist, but we don't have leaders at the head of these movements that are focusing the direction of the collective agenda. And I think that I don't know exactly why that's happening, but I do expect us to start seeing those people, whether it's an influencer on X or Rumble or on this platform. Like, I don't know if that's where it's going to come from, but when the person reaches that level, like, and Andrew Tate is in Romania, and he has a massive following. But if he was in the United States going to a protest right now, there would be 100,000 young men there. There would be, but he's not here, and there isn't like people like that are willing to go out there and be the face.
But we are starting to see that, though, just like you said on X, Scott Pressler, just a young kid that started out by going and picking up trash in neighborhoods and getting the people to start picking up their own little neighborhood. So he started out just like that, and look at him now.
Got a governor elected. He just got a governor elected.
That's right. But the thing is that, and I'm behind Scott, and I push Scott's app. I do all that. But so we are making a difference. It's just taking longer because there's so much fear because they've hurt so many people to try to stop us from being able to take our country back. And if we just keep doing it day after day, I might not be around anymore. I might die before then. I mean, you might die in a car accident. We don't know. But the thing is, I'm going to still do it. Every day that I have a chance to do it, I'm going to still stand up for what I believe. I'm still going to say it, and I'm going to make people mad because I get sick of listening to me. But I don't care. I care more for what we're leaving for our children than I do about people not liking me. So that's fine. I'm being shadow banned right now on here and on X for whatever reason, they don't want me to share anything. They don't want me to say, I can't see spaces. I haven't been able to see spaces in a long time. If someone doesn't send me an invite, I don't know it's even going on unless I come across your profile and you got that ring around you. But the thing is, I'm still doing it. I'm still voicing my opinion. I'm still trying to do as much as I can. And with Bruce, I've been able to start voicing my opinion over here. We've done different things on his Rumble. We've done stuff on his channel. I'm now playing Dungeons and Dragons, or whatever you want to call it, Pathfinder or whatever, every 2 weeks with Bruce and the rest of the guys. And a lot more people are coming to that because I'm talking about it all the time, how much fun I am having and how I'm learning how to be a part of a team and use my imagination, as an adult, and I love it. It's fun. It takes me away from things. And guess what? I'm not drinking and driving. I'm not out causing problems, and I'm hanging out with people I like, and I'm meeting more and more people, and more people are coming to learn about what we're doing and understanding what is that, how does the dice have anything to do with it? How does this work? And how does that? So more and more people are coming and asking questions and trying to learn about what we're doing, which is great because that means someone else is finding another interest in something they never would have if they hadn't met me. You see? So I'm making a difference. It may be small. It may not be that big of one, but I am making one. So, and that's how I try to trick people. You can do that too. You can influence the few people that are around you, and then they'll talk to 2 more people, and the 2 more people, and it grows. Just like you said, you got 8,000 parents, and they're all impacted because of their children. See? So we are making a difference. We just have to not give up and not let them back us into a corner and scare us out of doing it, because our kids are worth it. That's how I look at it.
And people are looking for networks. So what you're doing, playing D&D and creating these networks, I think it was a combination of not just COVID, but there's been an intentional agenda, and I think it was a side effect of technology where people have become self-isolated. I cannot tell you how many people my age that are 35 that I talk to, and they literally say the phrase, I don't have any friends, not any real friends. And I meet people like that all the time. And I'm very active in my church and some other men's groups in the area. And what I realize is there are a lot of people since COVID and the lockdowns that they came out of the lockdowns realizing, crap, that was crazy. I need a network around me. If anything happens like that again, I want to make sure I have a social circle and I'm not spinning my wheels alone in my house for 2 years. So there's people that are looking, and they're looking to the church. They're looking to activities. That's why pickleball is exploding all over the United States. Every community center, every senior center in the United States is converting their tennis courts to pickleball courts because it's a team game. And I've looked at the numbers. I mean, it's absolutely insane how popular that game is getting. And it's just because people are looking for that social interaction. They're looking to create those communities. And I think we're going to see a lot more over the next few years, because what technology did was it isolated us temporarily in the beginning of its implementation, but now people are learning to use the technology to reach out and create those communities and get back that social interactions. And I think we're going to see that increase, and it's going to be with everything, whether it's D&D or whether it's social clubs playing pickleball together. You're going to see more of that.
Well, I think it's awesome. I think we're going to see a lot more of all of these things if we don't give up. We keep fighting and we keep joining together with other people that feel the same way, because together we're stronger than being a single person out there all by yourself in the middle of the desert. So, but, well, we've been going at this for almost 2.5 hours. Do you guys feel like you want to keep going or what? Ruben, are you all right?
I'm tired.
I know, I could tell. You seem tired.
Well, yeah, because again, I guess I'm pushing myself every day to lose the weight, but I get tired, and that's the myasthenia. So it just makes me tired because I'm basically threading the needle, walking. My legs look amazing, but my body's changing. But it's just very, very debilitating. So I'm just basically going to continue it. So I got 163 more pounds to go. and I'll be 199. Something I haven't been 189 since I was 10 years old. So, I'm right now. What is it? 363. So then I have my highest college weight was 324, and then high school is 263. So I'm within 100 pounds of that. So I'm just like, my life's gonna change big time.
Yeah, it's already changed a lot. It's already changed a lot already. I mean, look how far you've come.
I know I'm down. Like I said, I've been I started tracking at 566, but I was like 650. So I've lost, an enormous amount of weight. But again, it's all the tumors. Everything's gone. I feel healthier. I'm not. I have no more electronics. No more electronics on me. No more
That's
monitors.
awesome.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm gonna keep on fighting. You just got to keep on doing it. And of course, but my biggest next big project is getting married. Trying to find a woman who wants to have a family, or if not have a family, just have a good life, and then go off in the sunset and have fun adventures. I want to be like Bonnie and Clyde, but no breaking the law, or or like be Indiana Jones, just going and have great adventures.
You'll get that. You'll find that.
Congrats, Ruben. Weight loss
Thanks.
is one of the hardest things to do, man. And you know what? Check out pickleball, man. You might find it fun. It'll keep you active.
I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, pickleball.
Check it out.
There's a couple courts around San Antonio, but that's not Chicago.
No, I'll look around. Yeah. Well, I have no idea. Again, I'm just. It got so bad that I started talking to Chat GPT. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? Because again,
Did it
that's
help?
great. Yeah, ChatGPT is great for that stuff. But I'll tell you what, Ruben, like the whole thing about like going to a pickleball court is you do me. I go to these what are called open plays. I'm in pretty good shape. I work out all the time.
Mhm.
I'm 35. I take care of myself. But one of the things I learned is that's where I build a community. There's a lot of people I meet there. Yeah, there's people there that I don't know. They're like, hey, do you want to play? It's a 2-on-2 game, but you can play on 1-on-1. So someone will come up and it's a very good icebreaker because where it's kind of awkward to kind of go up and introduce yourself to somebody, if they come up to you and say, hey, we need a player, it just gives you, now you're shaking 3 people's hands. Every game you're meeting 3 new people because it's 2-on-2. And it's just a really good way to socialize and exercise. Dude, I was a weightlifting guy. I could never do cardio, Ruben. I was one of those guys that I'm weights only. I'm never running. So I needed to find a way to run because running is just boring to me. So my way to get cardio into my workout was I started playing pickleball. So try it out. I think it'd be great for you. Yeah. And congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm proud of him. He's done well. So I think I'm ready for us. I'm tired. I think I'm ready for us to stop, but I just want to say thank you so much for Divisive for joining us tonight. You're awesome. I've told you that a million times already on X, but I think you're great. I think you got a great head on your shoulders, and I can see you changing a lot of lives one day. We'll see, but I hope I'm there to see it.
Hey, thank you, and I do my best to try to help. I do focus on young men's issues, relationship issues, and the only reason I do that is because I grew up in not so great situation, and I've been able to come out of that situation and build a life for myself. I own my house. I got married. I'm getting ready to start a family. I'm in pretty good shape, and I've built 3 successful businesses. And I feel like, and I say this a lot, my audience is very tired of hearing it, but I feel like I am in a particularly specific situation, as in I am that part of the generation that was built on the line of technology. I knew what it was like to grow up without a cell phone in high school, but I was also at the end of my high school career when social media started to come out. I was in college when Facebook was only for college kids. I had a college account for Facebook before it was made public to everyone else. So
Mhm.
because I come from that unique experience that the older generation doesn't have and the younger generation doesn't have, the younger generation only knows the technology. The older generation only knows what it was like to go through the high school and college experience without the technology. And I kind of had the experience of both worlds. I feel like it's a little bit more of a responsibility on my generation to be able to bridge that gap and say, hey, these are the things that technology has improved. Here's the things that it's made worse. And this is what we need to do to move forward and improve our society as a whole. This is how we can do it using technology, but keeping in mind that technology, just like anything else, can become a problem. So learning to use it responsibly is something that I'm really focused on. And Ruben, you're going to do great, man. You're losing the weight. You're going to find a great woman, and I can tell that because you got a great soul and you're very educated, and that is truly an important thing to have in 2023. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him.
Yeah.
But
We'll tell you my story later. It's a big story.
I was going to ask Bruce, is there anything you want to say about what you might have coming up on your channel?
Tomorrow I'm kind of test betting, or we're putting together the alpha test for a system I'm putting together. I've got about 100 pages of written rules and copied rules for it. So far, we have a few players. We have about 5 players that are getting involved with it. It's going to be from 2 p.m. Central Standard Time till about 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to swing by and see Janet and a bunch of other people that I think only one of them she's played with on my other game that I run, we'll be doing this for every other weekend for a while. And hopefully we turn into something pretty big. I'm writing a new system because I'm just tired of the way I'm reading other system revisions or new editions come out. I have an idea of the game I want to play, and I have already ran it for 6 hours so far. People really enjoyed the way the initiative, the skill set works. They really appreciated how the organic feel of it was. But that's something I wanted to have in a tabletop RPG, which that sounds like, here we are talking pro-America, let's kill all the communist shit. Behind me you have like paint racks and brushes and miniatures. Well, that kind of fits, because a lot of war gamers I know, or skirmish players I know, they are very right of center, very much in the military tactics BS. A lot of them are retired military, so that just kind of goes with that territory. And I like running skirmish games, so we're going to start this tomorrow about 2 p.m. I'd like to see you there.
Yeah.
I should also say that Sunday in our Discord channel, I'll be viewing a movie called Stigmata. If you've never seen it before, swing on by. Get the link here.
And watch it with us.
Yes.
And then we're going to review it Monday night.
Yes.
So join us for that. It'll be fun. But that's what we got going on. Ruben, do you have anything else going on?
Oh man, nothing. Basically, just I'm still looking for work, trying to find clients somewhere, trying to find a home, and basically, I'm just putting myself out there. My whole life now, like again, I was told, whichever one you want to believe, to sell all my possessions and start to heal yourself, and then start to help the world. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm just basically getting ready to do that and just do whatever I can to inspire and help. That their love is the answer to the world's problems. So got to keep it going. Can't give up. Got to go again. We're going to go through a lot, but follow me and my journey, and we're coming back and fighting back for what love is and hope.
Okay, thank you, Ruben. Okay, Divisive, is anything you want to say? Anything to anyone before we shut down?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. It was a great episode. I love to talk about education and how we can help the kids and continue education after we graduate our public institutionalized education. So I really like the topic. I thought it was great, and I appreciate Ruben, Bruce, and Janet for having this conversation tonight. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. It was great having you. And thank you to the chat for joining us tonight and hanging out all evening for over 2.5 hours. And I really appreciate you, because without you, we wouldn't even be able to do this. Thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful night and a great weekend.
God!